Chapter 2393. Following Lin Tian's voice, Mu Wenyang and hundreds of others woke up one after another in this branch of the Immortal Court. Air-splitting sounds rang out one after another. In the blink of an eye, Mu Wenyang and the rest had all stepped out. "Lord Immortal Emperor, why did you suddenly return?" After the group bowed, they were a little surprised. Not much time had passed since Lin Tian left. "The training went smoothly, so I brought back some things for you." Lin Tiandao. He stepped into the branch of the Immortal Court and took out many immortal pills, immortal herbs, and natural treasures from his body. He handed them to Mu Wenyang and the rest. "Cultivate with these natural treasures and immortal pills. You should be able to reach the Dao Transformation Realm in a short time. After you reach the Dao Transformation Realm, I will give you some other things to do." In the ancestral Lord Sea domain, he had obtained too many treasures. That was the divine treasure of a fifth-dimensional ancestral lord. It contained countless immortal pills and immortal herbs, some of which were very useful to Dao transformation experts. In terms of precious weapons, he had obtained tens of thousands of all creation's precious weapons, and most of them were peak all creation's divine weapons. Seeing the immortal pills, immortal herbs, and natural treasures that Lin Tian took out, Mu Wenyang and the rest could not help but be moved. They were all at the mystic heaven realm, so they could naturally see the value of these immortal pills, immortal herbs, and natural treasures that Lin Tian brought back. "Lord Immortal Emperor, this is all for us? What about you?" These people were all excited, and they could not help but ask Lin Tian. "I don't need them." Lin Tiandao slightly released a trace of his aura. Mu Wenyang and the rest immediately trembled violently. "Pyryang, Immortal Emperor, and the rest, Everyone was astonished. How long had it been since their Immortal Emperor left this place? In less than a year, he had actually reached the pure Yang realm from the Dao Transformation realm. What kind of cultivation speed was this? Don't be surprised. Cultivate with these immortal pills, immortal herbs, and natural treasures. Come find me after you reach the Dao Transformation realm." Lin Tiandao. After that, he stepped into a treasure hall in this branch of the Immortal Court alone and led Mu Fengqing out of the perfect world. Mu Fengqing's face was still pale. His injuries did not worsen, but they did not improve either. At this time, Mu Fengqing was drawn out of the perfect world. Seeing that Lin Tian was unscathed, he obviously relaxed a little. Previously, when the ancestor of the Xiang family had arrived, Lin Tian had taken him into the perfect world. In the past half a month, he had been worried about Lin Tian in the perfect world. Lin Tian had gone to the Illusion Sorcerer Divine sect because of him. He opened and closed his mouth as he looked at Lin Tian. However, he was unable to say anything at that moment. "Don't worry, I'll heal you first." Lin Tian smiled. Naturally, he could see that Mu Fengqing was worried about him. He could also see that Mu Fengqing's personality was actually similar to Yang Qi's. In fact, Mu Fengqing was even more taciturn than Yang Qi. He was really not good at talking. In the treasure hall, he used the Reincarnation Heart Sutra to guide Mu Fengqing. After helping Mu Fengqing recover his ability to heal his injuries, he quietly walked out of the treasure hall and closed the door, leaving Mu Fengqing alone in the hall. Fifth Dimension Xiang family, ancestor, that person. In one of the ancient halls of the Xiang family, Xiang Yinfeng looked at the ancestor with an unsightly expression. The heavily injured Lin Tian had not been suppressed and brought back by the ancestor of the fifth dimension. That person really controls reincarnation? He killed the sect master of the Illusion Sorcerer Divine sect. In this ancient hall, the current patriarch of the Xiang family and a group of grand elders were present. All of them had unsightly expressions. Lin Tian's fame had spread throughout the fifth dimension. Now, the higher-ups of the Xiang family were starting to feel uneasy. After all, the Xiang family had targeted Lin Tian several times. And now, Lin Tian definitely had the ability to kill a fifth dimension expert. The sect master of the Illusion Sorcerer Divine sect was a good example. Moreover, the sect master of the Illusion Sorcerer Divine sect had controlled a fifth dimension law, the Dao Defiant. Under such circumstances, he had been killed by Lin Tian. It could be said that the current Lin Tian was definitely not a match for an ordinary fifth dimension expert. If he recovered and came back to the Xiong family, it would definitely be a disaster for the family. The ancestor of the Xiong family sat on an ancient wooden chair at the top of the ancient hall. His expression was gloomy, and his eyes were sometimes deep and sometimes cold. In the blink of an eye, several dozen breaths passed. Take out the treasured furnace that suppresses the family's foundation and make preparations. Everyone in the family who has reached the pure sun realm is to follow me to the ancestral sea region. The ancestor of the Xiong family said coldly. As soon as these words were spoken, the family head, 9 grand elders, and Xiong Yinfeng in the ancient hall were all moved. Ancestor, you mean to go there and take the supreme fifth dimension ancestral treasures of the 7 treasures ancestor? The patriarch of the Xiong family asked. The ancestor of the Xiong family did not answer, but his expression was non-committal. Clearly, that was what he meant. Ancestor, the 7 treasures ancestor, was said to be at the peak of the 5th dimension. He was a great calamity sealed by the supreme ancestral treasures of the 7 sections. If he loses the suppression of the ancestral treasures, once he comes out, I'm afraid, the first grand elder of the Xiong family said. With that little bastard's temperament, he will definitely deal with our Xiong family when he is free. Although I don't want to admit it, that little bastard is indeed a monster. With my current strength, even if he is at the early stage of the pure sun realm, I won't be his match. The ancestor of the Xiong family said coldly, only by taking the supreme ancestral treasures of the 7 sects will I be able to deal with him and protect our Xiong family. After that, I will take the stealing heaven's secret technique, reincarnation, Tao defying, and other treasures from him. There is also the Yu family and the divine palace of all beginnings. They have interfered with my plans. After I suppress that little bastard and take the stealing heaven's secret technique, reincarnation, and Tao defying, I will eliminate them all. Then, our Xiong family will dominate the 5th dimension. His voice was cold. As for that great vicious beast, wait until I obtain the stealing heaven's secret technique, reincarnation technique, everlasting beginning technique, and inverse Tao. Combined with my 5th dimensional cultivation base and the 7 ancestral treasures of the 7 sects, I should be able to suppress it. But before that, it can do whatever it wants. The fiercer it is, the better. The more lives it will bring harm to, the better. When the time comes, I will suppress it, and the 5th dimensional cultivators will definitely revere it. The expression of the patriarch of the Xiong family and the others changed, and their eyes couldn't help but shine. Ancestor is wise. The first grand elder of the Xiong family said. Their ancestor's analysis was indeed very reasonable. The eyes of the Xiong family's ancestor were deep and cold. He stood up from the ancient chair. Go and prepare, he said coldly. Then he looked outside of the Xiong family. Little bastard, just you wait. In the 5th dimension, on an ancient planet, Mu Wenyang and the others were refining immortal pills and medicines to increase their cultivation base. Mu Fengqing was recuperating in the treasure pavilion. Lin Tian was alone in this huge branch of the Celestial Lyceum. He breathed in the clear air while observing his current situation. His vigorous divine sense fell on his body. Now his soul root, which had been unsealed 5 times, had completely stabilized and was no longer eroding or burdening him. His cultivation base had stabilized at the early stage of the pure yang realm. He was not far from the middle stage. Most importantly, his perception and understanding of the world had become much clearer. Eternal beginnings, Tao defying, star creation, dark light, and immortal. He muttered to himself. Standing in this branch of the Celestial Lyceum, he looked at the sky. His eyes flickered with faint light, hazy and mysterious. Time slowly passed. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, in the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. Suddenly, strands of starlight intertwined around his body. It was extremely vigorous. Then, with the big planet he was on as the center, the boundless starlight in this 5th dimension surged toward it. In the blink of an eye, it was drowned and quickly poured into his body, setting him off as if he was the master of the starry sky. Star creation, wisps of light intertwined in his eyes. With a slight wave of his right hand, a mini star emerged. It was completely condensed from the purest starlight, mixed with an extremely vast aura. It was like the origin of all the stars in the world, causing one's mind to surge. His father, the celestial emperor, had unsealed 5 times of the seals on his soul root. After stabilizing, his cognition and comprehension of the myriad Tao had obviously made a qualitative leap compared to when he unsealed 4 times of his soul root. Here, in this branch of the Celestial Lyceum, after silently comprehending for 7 days, he finally managed to barely master the star creation law. Compared to comprehending after watching others perform, comprehending by myself without reference is indeed much slower. He muttered to himself. Previously, Lu Aoxin performed the primordial beginning law, and Mu Fengqing performed the inverse Tao. With the ready-made power of law as a reference, it only took him more than 2 hours to master it. But now, comprehending the star creation law without any reference took him a full 7 days and 7 nights. The time difference was indeed huge. However, this is also compared with himself. If he is compared with others, if others know that in just 7 days, without any reference, he took control of the star creation law by himself, it is estimated that they will be scared silly. After a pause, he didn't move. The starlight around his body gradually dissipated. He walked in the branch of the Celestial Lyceum to comprehend other things. Time passed by day, another 7 days later. The 2 different colors of darkness and light intertwined outside his body at the same time. Obviously, their auras were contradictory, but they merged perfectly, just like the fusion of water and fire, without the slightest sense of dissonance. Dark light, he muttered to himself. The star creation law could evolve the stars in the sky from the original starlight. It could be used to attack and defend, and was extremely powerful. The dark light law intertwined darkness and light at the same time. The 2 powers of different attributes perfectly merged together, forming this powerful 5th dimension law. In terms of killing power, it was not inferior to the inverse Tao law at all. He didn't care too much and began to comprehend the last indestructible law. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days passed. 7 days later, strands of golden light intertwined outside his body. It was similar to the color of the holy light when he cultivated the Sun Heart Sutra, but it was countless times purer. It contained firmness and fierceness, but also incomparably peaceful, as if it would never die. Indestructible. There was a flash of light in his eyes. Chapter 2394. The law of indestructibility was integrated into every inch of his flesh and soul the moment he comprehended it, causing Lin Tian to feel as if he was invincible. He could clearly feel that the quality of the saint energy in his body had become much stronger, and he could clearly feel that his physical body had become at least 10 times stronger. It was as if he would not die and dissipate no matter what kind of attack he received. At the same time, his fist moved slightly, and his entire fist turned into a pure gold color, as if it could shatter everything. A law that increases my ability in all aspects. He muttered to himself. After a slight pause, the law of indestructibility was retracted along with the star creation and dark light. At this time, he examined himself again. After comprehending the star creation, dark light, and indestructibility, he felt that his strength had improved tremendously. He was much stronger than before, and his cultivation was closer to the mid-stage pure yang realm. He nodded inwardly. He stayed in this branch of the immortal court and silently practiced the star creation, dark light, and indestructibility laws. Time flew by, and 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. 3 days later, Mu Wenyang and the others came out of seclusion one after another. With the help of the immortal pills, immortal herbs, and other natural treasures that Lin Tian had given them, all of them stepped into the Tao conversion realm. Lin Tian nodded. His right hand shook slightly, and the all-creation's precious weapons flew out from his body, giving one to each of them. This is... Mu Wenyang and the others were shocked. They had just reached the Tao conversion realm with the help of the immortal pills and herbs given by Lin Tian, and now each of them received an all-creation's precious weapon. and all creation's precious weapon was an incomparably luxurious treasure for them. Sir Immortal Emperor, they looked at Lin Tian. And all creation's precious weapon was not something simple. It's nothing to me, Lin Tiandao said. He had obtained too many precious weapons of this level in the Zhu Junxi region. Pausing for a moment, he raised his hand. 5 lumps of light interweaved and appeared, giving them to Mu Wenyang and the other 4. He said, "These are the laws of the myriad beginnings, Tao-defying, star creation, dark light, and undying. 5 types of laws of the 5th dimension. With their help, along with your current cultivation base and Wanxiang grade divine weapons, it should be enough for you to take revenge. Come back after destroying the Golden Mark Immortal Sect." He would not personally avenge Mu Wenyang and the others, but he could give them the power to do so. When Mu Wenyang and the other 4 experts of the Immortal Court received the power of the 5th dimension from Lin Tian, all of them trembled violently. There were 5 types of 5th dimensional laws in the 5th dimension. During the years they had been enslaved, they had naturally heard of them. They were the all-beginning, Tao-defying, star creation, dark light, and indestructible. Each type of 5th dimensional law was incomparably terrifying. But now, not only had their lord of the Immortal Court reached the Pure Sun realm from the early stage of the Tao Conversion realm in less than a year, she had even mastered all 5 types of 5th dimensional laws. This matter had almost petrified them, and a chill ran down their spines. Even if they did not know much about the history of the 5th dimension, they could definitely guess that since ancient times, no one in the 5th dimension had been able to master all 5 types of 5th dimensional laws at the same time. But their Immortal Emperor had done it. Moreover, it was obviously very easy. It felt as simple as breaking off 5 branches from a tree. What kind of person was their Immortal Emperor? This kind of power and terror, this kind of potential and comprehension, had completely exceeded the level of their understanding. Go and kill all those who trampled on your dignity. Then come back and help me with some other matters. Lin Tian looked at Mu Wenyang and the others and said, "The Golden Mark Immortal Sect had enslaved his subordinates for countless years, trampling on their dignity and not treating them as humans. Now, with the power he had given Mu Wenyang and the others, it was enough for them to easily destroy the Golden Mark Immortal Sect." Mu Wenyang and the others trembled slightly, then knelt down and bowed to Lin Tian. "Thank you, Lord Immortal Emperor," everyone said in unison. "Go." Lin Tiandao. "Yes." Mu Wenyang and the others bowed again. Then, with eyes full of hatred, they rushed out of the Immortal Court and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lin Tian stood alone in the Immortal Court, looking at the treasure pavilion where Mu Fengqing was at from time to time. Mu Fengqing's injuries were very serious. It would take at least 2 months for him to fully recover. He stood in the Immortal Court, sorting out his strength, and at the same time, guarding Mu Fengqing. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, another 10 days had passed. Another 10 days had passed. On this day, Mu Wenyang and the others returned. Everyone's spirit was much more stable than before, giving off a feeling that they were countless times more relaxed. After returning to the Immortal Court, everyone immediately came to Lin Tian and knelt down on one knee to pay their respects. "Thank you, Lord Immortal Emperor," everyone said in unison. Their voices were filled with excitement and gratitude. The Golden Mark Immortal Sect had been uprooted by them and disappeared from the 5th dimension, becoming an ancient history. Rise. When Lin Tiandao saw the expressions of the group of people, he naturally guessed that his subordinates had already taken their revenge. "Lord Immortal Emperor, these are the resources of the Golden Mark Immortal Sect. Please take a look." Mu Wenyang took out a few spatial treasures and presented them to Lin Tian. After destroying the Golden Mark Immortal Sect, they brought back all the Baodan, artifacts, and ancient books of the Golden Mark Immortal Sect. Lin Tian glanced at them and said, "Place them in the Immortal Court here as resources for the future development of the Immortal Court." As he spoke, he looked at Mu Wenyang and handed over the other immortal pills, immortal herbs, natural treasures, artifacts, and other artifacts that he took from the ancestral Lord Sea domain to Mu Wenyang. Elder Mu, please take these things back to the immortal court in the 10 Directions Ancient Star. If these things were sent back to the 10 Directions Immortal Court, Wu Yi, Ruoxian, Jiyu, Bai Ziki, and his 9 senior brothers would be able to step into the Dao conversion realm in an extremely short period of time. Moreover, there were some even more amazing natural treasures that could even allow some of them to step into the myriad creations realm. Yes, Lord Immortal Emperor, this subordinate will not disappoint you, Mu Wenyang said and bowed to Lin Tian again. Using the coordinates of the 10 Directions Ancient Star that Lin Tian gave him, he left the Immortal Court branch here and headed towards the 4-dimensional world. Lin Tian watched Mu Wenyang leave until he disappeared from his sight. Then, his gaze landed on the other 900 people. With a flick of his finger, he sent out more than 10 strands of the law of all beginnings and handed them to 10 of them. He said, Elder Zhang, Elder Li, Elder Han, Elder Qing, Elder Chao, Elder Lu, Elder Huang, Elder Wang, Elder Zhong, Elder He. Each of you take a team with you and go to other places to rescue those who were enslaved by other sects after ascending from the 4-dimensional world. The 4-dimensional world. In terms of size, his master, the human king, once said that the 4-dimensional world was incomparable to the few worlds above. This was because the foundation of reincarnation was in the 4-dimensional world. This made the 4-dimensional world extremely special. This was also the reason why the 4-dimensional profound heaven realm experts could be born in the 4-dimensional world since ancient times. Mu Wenyang and the other 900 people who reached the profound heaven realm were enslaved by the Golden Mark Immortal Sect. Naturally, he didn't think that these people were all the profound heaven realm experts who had ascended from the 4-dimensional world. Moreover, Yu Yaoshi had told him before that there were a few sects similar to the Golden Mark Immortal Sect that had captured many profound heaven realm experts from the 4-dimensional world as their slaves. At this time, he gave 10 people 10 strands of the law of all beginnings, which could turn everything into nothingness, and asked them to rescue the 4-dimensional world experts who were enslaved by other sections. After that, if those people were willing to join the Immortal Court, they were to be brought to the Immortal Court. If they weren't willing, he wouldn't force them and let them go. Yes, Lord Immortal Emperor, we will do our best. Everyone spoke one after another. In fact, they all knew that other than the Golden Mark Immortal Sect, there must be other sects that were doing the same thing as the Golden Mark Immortal Sect, enslaving their comrades from the 4-dimensional world. Now that Lin Tian had given them the power to rescue their comrades from the 4-dimensional world, they were naturally very willing to do so. After being enslaved for so many years, they knew very well how painful it was to be enslaved. There was no dignity at all. We will first thank Lord Immortal Emperor for his kindness on behalf of the other enslaved comrades. Someone said. Everyone's expression was solemn and serious. Their eyes couldn't help but flicker. Their celestial emperor was too good. Go. Lin Tiandao. He ordered 10 of them to lead a group of people to rescue the enslaved 4-dimensional world experts, while the rest stayed behind to take care of other matters. Time slowly passed. He was alone in this branch of the Celestial Court. While he was sorting out his strength, he was guarding Mu Fengqing's treasure pavilion. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. In a month's time, more than 2,000 people were added to this immortal court branch. More than 2,000 of them were at the profound heaven realm. They were experts that came from the 4-dimensional world and were enslaved by other sects like the Golden Mark Immortal Sect. After being rescued, they all came to this immortal court branch. Lord Immortal Emperor, thank you for your kindness. We will follow you forever. All the 4-dimensional powerhouses who were rescued immediately bowed to Lin Tian with gratitude in their eyes when they heard about what had happened. Welcome to the Immortal Court. Lin Tian said the same thing to these people. Remember, don't bully others, and don't be afraid of others. I don't expect you to be very powerful, but at the very least, you must maintain your loyalty and righteousness. Otherwise, you will be expelled from the Immortal Court. Time continued to pass. He stayed in the Immortal Court, sorting out his realm and guarding Mu Fengqing. Then, another 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Another 3 days passed. On this day, An incomparably strong aura suddenly came out of the treasure pavilion, mixed with the powerful pressure of the all-creations realm. At the same time, in the huge, ancient star where the branch of the immortal court was located, the sky turned dark in an instant. A huge thunderbolt vortex emerged in the twinkling of an eye. Boundless darkness instantly covered the entire branch of the immortal court. Rumble! Thunder roared, and a destructive aura came down from the sky. This is, Lord Immortal Emperor, this what happened? This heavenly tribulation is... In this immortal court branch, a group of experts rushed out. They were all shocked by the sudden appearance of this heavenly tribulation. Chapter 2395. Rumble. Ear-piercing thunder rumbled in all directions. A pitch-black vortex appeared in the sky. In destructive tribulation, lightning bolts followed one after another. Such a heavenly tribulation made all the experts in the immortal court branch palpitate. However, in the next moment, the lightning suddenly dispersed, and the sky above the immortal court regained its clarity. The destructive aura also disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. The door of the treasure pavilion opened, and Mu Fengqing walked out. His complexion was no longer as pale as it was 2 months ago. Now his complexion had become much rosier. His essence, energy, and spirit were extremely strong. "Congratulations," Lin Tian said with a smile. These days, he had been guarding Mu Fengqing outside the treasure pavilion. Now, he could clearly feel that Mu Fengqing's inverse law had reached great success. Although his cultivation was at the end of the inverse law, his essence, energy, and spirit were infinitely close to the middle stage of the Wanxiang realm. It was obvious that after Mu Fengqing stepped into the Wanxiang realm and attracted the heavenly tribulation, he forcibly suppressed his cultivation temporarily. He believed that after Mu Fengqing truly passed the Wanxiang realm heavenly tribulation, he would definitely be able to step into the middle stage of the Wanxiang realm. Mu Fengqing looked at Lin Tian, opened his mouth, and said, "Thank you." Lin Tian had barged into the illusory sorcerer divine sect alone and risked his life to rescue Huang Xiaolong from the illusory sorcerer divine sect. Over the past few days, Huang Xiaolong could feel Lin Tian standing guard outside the treasure hall. This kindness and warmth was something he had never felt since his mother passed away. He actually had a lot of things to say, but he was not good with words. In the end, the only word he could say to express all his feelings was "thank you." In this branch of the Immortal Court, the experts of the Immortal Court had come here because of the appearance of Mu Fengqing's heavenly tribulation. When they saw Mu Fengqing, they were all moved. This is fellow Taoist Mu. A few days ago, Lord Immortal Emperor, not long ago, the hundreds of profound sky experts who had been enslaved by the Golden Mark Immortal Sect had gone to the Golden Mark Immortal Sect to seek revenge after Lin Tian had given them great power. They had destroyed the Golden Mark Immortal Sect. During the process, they had naturally heard many rumors in the cultivation world. They knew that Lin Tian had the legendary reincarnation ability, and that he had created the illusion shaman divine sect alone for a person called Mu Fengqing. Now, seeing Mu Fengqing walk out of the treasure pavilion, these experts of the Immortal Court recognized Mu Fengqing. "This is the Immortal Court. I created it." Lin Tian looked at Mu Fengqing and said, "Go through the tribulation first, then we'll talk about it in detail." The lightning tribulation just now was forcibly suppressed by Mu Fengqing, and he had not passed through it yet. It was better to let him go through the tribulation first. On this day, in a remote place on this planet, he followed Mu Fengqing and watched him go through the tribulation. Boom! The rolling lightning tribulation struck down one after another. The destructive aura was terrifying and surging. After a full hour, the lightning tribulation dispersed, and 7-colored auspicious clouds appeared, enveloping Mu Fengqing. His essence, energy, and spirit were vigorous, and he became stronger again. When the 7-colored auspicious clouds dispersed, Mu Fengqing's cultivation stopped at the peak of the all-creation realm. He was only a small step away from reaching the peak of the all-creation realm. Lin Tian nodded to himself. This time, Mu Fengqing gained a lot of benefits from the destruction. Now, Mu Fengqing believed that with his cultivation that was infinitely close to the peak of the all-creation realm and his mastery of the inverse Tao law, it would not be difficult for him to kill an ordinary early-stage pure yang expert. Let's go back to the immortal court, he said to Mu Fengqing, and soon returned to the branch of the immortal court. In the immortal court, a group of experts was waiting for Lin Tian and Mu Fengqing to come back. After the two came back, they could feel that Mu Fengqing had successfully passed the heavenly tribulation, and they congratulated him one after another. How about it? Become my guardian warrior? Lin Tian looked at Mu Fengqing and invited him again. Mu Fengqing looked at Lin Tian and then at the sky. Then his eyes fell on Lin Tian again. My mother's surname is Yi. From now on, I will take her surname. From today onwards, I am Mu Fengqing. His eyes fell on Lin Tian, and he bent one knee and bowed. I am willing to be your guardian warrior and support you forever. I live as a member of the immortal court, and I die as a soul of the immortal court. He had been rescued by Lin Tian from the illusion sorcerer divine sect. Lin Tian had helped him end the poison father, who had killed his mother. During the 2 months he had been in seclusion to heal, he had finished feeling sad about everything. He would not waste any more time thinking about that poison father, who was worse than a beast. In the past, after his mother's death, no one cared about him. Lin Tian was the first person who made him feel warm after his mother's death. He was the first person who called him a partner. Now he just wanted to follow Lin Tian. He did not want to think about anything else. Hearing this, Lin Tian's eyes couldn't help but tremble slightly. The illusion sorcery sect master had once named this man Mu Fengqing, meaning that he would serve his eldest son, Mu Guanqing, for eternity. Now this man had changed his surname and the last character of his name, leaving only the Feng in the middle. He was named Yi Feng Tian, meaning that he would serve Lin Tian for eternity. Yi Futian knew this. Although he did not want Yi Futian to serve him forever, he would not refuse Yi Futian's kindness. He personally helped Yi Futian up. Yi Feng Tian, I am very happy to get to know you again. He said, from now on, in the immortal court, you will only listen to my orders. We are not only lord and servant, but also partners. At this place, the other experts of the immortal court immediately bowed. Greetings, General Yi. Everyone got down on one knee. Lin Tian was the leader of the immortal court. He was known as the Immortal Emperor. As Lin Tian's guardian, his status in the immortal court was obvious. Yi Feng Tian tilted his head and looked at Lin Tian. Lin Tian smiled and nodded. Yi Feng Tian then looked at the experts of the immortal court who bowed. Please rise. Today is a good day. Lin Tian smiled. Today was indeed a good day. Therefore, on this day, the branch of the immortal court here, the Grand Martial Arts Practice Field, placed a lot of spirit fruits and wine. These things were not very valuable and were just for a little celebration. Lord Immortal Emperor, we heard that when you went to save General Yi, you were targeted by that old bastard of the Xiang family. Are you going to go to the Xiang family after this? An expert of the immortal court asked Lin Tiandao. During this period of time, when they left the branch of the immortal court to handle matters in the outside world, they heard too many rumors. Naturally, one of them was that the old ancestor of the Xiang family was chasing after Lin Tian. This naturally made these experts of the immortal court very dissatisfied. Naturally, they also had some understanding of the battle prowess of the immortal emperor from their bloodline. Even the sect master of the fifth-dimensional realm illusion sorcerer sect, who had mastered the inverse Tao law, was killed by him. He was extremely terrifying and definitely had the ability to kill ordinary fifth-dimensional realm experts. If he was at his peak, the Xiang family's ancestor would definitely not be his match. They thought that the immortal emperor of their branch could not be taken advantage of like this. Since the old ancestor of the Xiang family dared to target them, this matter must be settled. After hearing the words of the expert of the immortal court, Yi Feng Tian also looked at Lin Tian. Lin Tian was targeted by the old ancestor of the Xiang family when he went to the illusion sorcerer sect to save him. He was most concerned about this matter. Lin Tian's eyes flashed with a faint light. The corner of his mouth curved into a cold smile. Of course, I will go to the Xiang. Boom. Suddenly, with the big planet as the center, in the northern region of the central world of the fifth dimension, a monstrous beam of light shot up into the sky. Endless bloody rays intertwined with extremely terrifying killing intent intertwined with each other, interrupting his words. This caused his expression to immediately change. He stood up, rushed out of the big planet, and looked in the direction of the beam of light. Then his eyes immediately narrowed. That direction was the direction of the ancestral Lord Sea region. The killing intent contained in that beam of light was extremely pure and terrifying. Even someone as strong as he was now felt the threat of death. He felt that it was difficult to resist. Then there was no need for him to think too much about it. In an instant, he knew that this extremely pure killing intent belonged to the great evil sealed in the ancestral Lord Sea region. In that sea region, the great evil sealed by the seven treasures ancestor had sacrificed his life to seal had been born today. Who is it? A chill appeared in his eyes. In the ancestral Lord Sea region, there was a top-grade fifth-dimensional ancestral treasure of the seven sex. If no one touched the ancestral treasure of the seven sex, the great calamity would definitely not be able to break out of the seal. Someone must have stolen the ancestral treasure of the seven sex out of greed and destroyed the seven stars devil subduing formation that the seven treasures ancestor had sacrificed his life to set up. Thus, the great calamity was born. Previously, he had clearly sent out tens of thousands of divine sense imprints to inform the entire fifth dimension of how terrifying the great beast sealed by the seven sex ancestral treasures was. Once it was released, countless living beings would definitely suffer. But now, there was still someone who dared to touch the seven sex ancestral treasures. This was no different from wantonly slaughtering all living beings. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Yi Fengtian and the other experts of the immortal court all rushed out. There, Yi Fengtian had been to the ancestral Lord Sea and had seen Lin Tian's divine sense imprint. Looking in the direction of the ancestral Lord Sea and sensing the terrifying murderous intent, he could guess that the ferocious beast had been released. Zhujun Sea Domain Boom. Above the sea, boundless waves were rolling. The giant island at the center, together with the sacred mountain on it, was immediately torn apart and turned into ashes. Destructive hurricanes were vast and mighty. A ferocious beast covered in gray scales emerged from the bottom of the sea. Its eyes were red, it had 5 tails, and it was surrounded by wisps of blood-red mist. It was more than 10,000 feet tall, like a giant mountain, and its aura was extremely terrifying. Roar! Another ferocious roar was heard, filled with boundless murderous intent. It turned into a light wave and spread out. For a moment, the waves within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles were rolling. The mountains at the edge of the sea collapsed one after another. All the monsters and cultivators nearby were turned into a mist of blood in the blink of an eye, completely disappearing from the world. Boom! In the sea, the ferocious beast moved from the center of the sea and began to move. The 5 tails behind it swayed gently, shaking the heavens and the earth. The entire sea was boiling. Endless waves rushed out of the sea and rolled in all directions, drowning the mountains and the earth. Not long after, the ferocious beast stepped out of the sea and moved far away, gradually stepping into the densely populated area. Roar! Endless blood-red light intertwined, and destructive light balls broke out of its mouth and rushed in all directions. Puff! 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 Blood mists exploded one after another, and mountains and rivers collapsed one after another. Everywhere it passed, tangible things were destroyed. Some cultivators saw this scene from afar, and they were all horrified. Well, what is that? It seems to be coming from the direction of the sea. Could it be that great ferocious beast under the sea? Run! Run! Everyone chose to run away immediately. The aura of that great ferocious beast was too terrifying. However, the next moment, as the ferocious beast roared, the pure power of sound shattered everything. All the creatures within a radius of several miles were annihilated. Where the branch of the immortal court was located, Lin Tian looked in the direction of the ancestral Lord Sea domain. Because it was too far away, he could only feel the terrifying murderous intent there, but he could not see the scene there. However, he could imagine what was happening after the great ferocious beast appeared. It must have stepped out of the sea, and everywhere it passed, it must have been destroyed. Chapter 2396. Bastard. Looking in the direction of the ancestral Lord Sea domain, the coldness in Lin Tian's eyes intensified. Even though he wasn't a native of this world, and he had nothing to do with the deaths and injuries of the creatures in this world, he still couldn't help but feel a surge of anger. The person who took away the ancestral treasure of the seven sects was simply an extremely evil person. The experts of the Immortal Court had heard a lot of things when they were outside, so they more or less knew what had happened. Lord Immortal Emperor, what should we do now? Someone asked. Lin Tian looked in the direction of the ancestral Lord Sea domain, paused for a moment, and said, "Ignore it. With our current strength, we can't do anything about it." The appearance of the great calamity in the ancestral Lord Sea domain meant that countless creatures were suffering. If he had the ability to stop it, he would have done something. Unfortunately, even though he was strong enough to kill ordinary fifth-dimensional realm experts, he couldn't do anything about the great calamity that was infinitely close to the lesser heaven realm. Even though he could control 5 types of fifth-dimensional laws, the difference in strength was still too big. He was simply no match for the great calamity. Return to the Immortal Court. I will cultivate in seclusion for a while, then go to the Xiang family," he said. After unlocking the 5 seals on his soul root and controlling the 5 types of fifth-dimensional laws in this world, he was not far from the middle stage of the pure Yang realm. It wouldn't be long before he reached the middle stage of the pure Yang realm. Then, he would go and settle the score with the Xiang family. On this day, he, Yi Fengtian, and the others re-entered the large planet where the Immortal Court's branch was located. After giving some simple instructions, he went into seclusion in a palace in the branch. Yi Fengtian wasn't far from the peak of the all-creation realm. He silently guarded the palace, protecting Yi Fengtian. In the central world of the 5th dimension, what? That great calamity in the ancestral Lord Sea domain has come into being. How is this possible? Wasn't it sealed very tightly? Why did it suddenly break out of the seal? Did someone touch the 7 sects' ancestral treasure? Which son of a bitch did it? How many people does he want to kill? Run away. That great, vicious beast can't block it at all. In the ancestral Lord Sea region, a great calamity had appeared. In the blink of an eye, it had stepped out of the sea region and traveled a long distance. Wherever it passed, more than 300,000 creatures had died tragically. This news quickly spread to every corner. In the vast 5th dimension, many great sects and inheritances quickly learned of this matter. Experts from these great sects and inheritances went to investigate one after another. Even a few reclusive old cultivators also came out to investigate. Most of them were at the peak of the pure sun stage. But when they saw a great calamity, their spirits trembled and they fled without looking back. The aura exuding from the body of the great calamity was simply too terrifying. That pure murderous intent and murderous aura seemed to be born for the sole purpose of slaughtering. It was as if the great calamity was born for the sole purpose of slaughtering. Roars! A ferocious roar shook the heavens. The great calamity's body was covered in gray scales, and its eyes were crimson red. With a shake of its 5 tails, it destroyed everything in its path. It seemed to have no intelligence, only endless killing intent. Its existence seemed to be for the sole purpose of killing. Any living being that appeared in its field of vision would be destroyed at the first moment. Wherever it passed, blood would flow in large patches. 5th dimension, Xiang family. In the center of the Xiang family, the 7 treasures were laid out horizontally, all of them exuding a shocking divine radiance. A halberd, a shield, a cauldron, a saber, a sword, a square seal, and a pagoda. When the 7 treasures were put together, the aura exuding from them was so terrifying that it seemed to be able to annihilate everything. This is really, looking at the 7 treasures, the Xiong family patriarch's eyes flickered with unconcealable excitement. Beside him, Xiong Yinfeng and the 9 grand elders of the Xiong family were also present, and all of them were very excited. They had spent no less than 2 months using the various secret treasures and ancient techniques of their family. Apart from the old ancestor, who was going to use the 7 treasures to deal with the Lin Tian family patriarch, the others had suffered great losses. Their souls, essences, Tao foundations, and cultivation had all been greatly affected, and they would need at least 3 years to fully recover. Only then would they be able to obtain the 7 treasures. Now, looking at the combined might of the 7 treasures, everyone's eyes were filled with excitement. It was really too powerful. After obtaining the 7 treasures, not to mention that they would need at least 3 years to fully recover their lost souls, essences, Tao foundations, and cultivation. Even if it took 30 or even 300 years, it would be completely worth it. At this moment, everyone could feel that if the 7 artifacts of the 7 sects were to be used together, and if the Xiong family's ancestor were to use them at the same time, they would be able to kill anyone below the peak of the 5th dimensional realm. Their might was terrifying. No matter how strong and monstrous that little bastard is, his cultivation is only at the early stage of the pure Yang realm. It's impossible for him to be comparable to a peak 5th dimensional expert. The Xiong family patriarch clenched his fists. The Xiong family patriarch's eyes were deep and filled with undisguised coldness. With a wave of his hand, he put away the 7 treasures. By the way, Patriarch, after that vicious beast appeared, it attracted the attention of the entire 5th dimensional realm. Currently, many cultivators have died in its hands. The first Grand Elder of the Xiong family patriarch opened his mouth and said, he had learned many things from the other disciples of the family. Don't worry about it. Let it do whatever it wants. It doesn't matter how many people die. It won't affect our family in the slightest. The Xiong family patriarch appeared very indifferent as he looked outside the family. The first Grand Elder, the Xiong family patriarch, the divine son of the Xiong family patriarch, Xiong Yinfeng, and the others all nodded. They had obtained the 7 ancestral treasures and caused the vicious beast to appear. The vicious beast's current path of destruction was completely opposite to their family's location. It wouldn't affect their family in the slightest, so there was no need to worry about it. Then, Patriarch, should we go look for that little bastard now? The second Grand Elder of the Xiong family asked. No need. The Xiong family patriarch's eyes were cold. With that little bastard's temperament, he will definitely come to our Xiong family in the future. We just need to wait for his arrival. When the time comes, we will suppress him and everything will fall into my hands. Our Xiong family will dominate the 5th dimension. On the huge ancient star where the branch of the immortal court was located, Lin Tian resided in a palace here. He sat cross-legged and silently circulated the Reincarnation Heart Sutra as he cultivated on his own. Buzz! Strands of 9-colored holy radiance intertwined on the surface of his body. All-directional holy spiritual energy surged and entered his body. His essence, energy, spirit, and cultivation all rose rapidly. Time passed little by little. In the blink of an eye, 8 days had passed. Suddenly, a majestic aura rushed out of his body. Then, in the next moment, he opened his eyes. There was a flash of light in his eyes. During the 8 days of seclusion, he cultivated seriously and reached the middle stage of the pure Yang realm on this day. He didn't get up immediately. Instead, he carefully sensed his body. His soul root had been unsealed 5 times. He had mastered all 5 types of laws of the 5th dimension. His cultivation had reached the middle stage of the pure Yang realm. Now, he could easily kill a cultivator in the middle stage of the 5th dimension. He sat cross-legged in the palace and stabilized his cultivation. Then, he got up, pushed open the door, and walked out. Yi Fengtian had been waiting outside the palace. When he saw Lin Tian open the door, he immediately went to greet him. How is the situation with that vicious beast these days? Lin Tian looked at Yi Fengtian and asked. Now that he had reached the middle stage of the pure Yang realm, His combat strength had increased a lot. However, he still knew that he was no match for that vicious beast. The gap between him and that vicious beast was still very big. Even so, he was still somewhat concerned about the vicious beast situation. After all, that vicious beast was a moving source of slaughter. "It's very bad," Yi Fengtian said. During these days, he had been guarding Lin Tian while the other cultivators of the Immortal Court gathered all kinds of information and reported it to him. Therefore, he knew what was happening in the fifth dimension on the surface. He gave Lin Tian a more specific answer. It came out of the sea and headed south. It killed without any purpose. More than 100 inheritances have been destroyed. A conservative estimate is that more than 10 million living beings have died tragically in the past 8 days. Lin Tian was silent. In just 8 days, at least 10 million living beings had died tragically. Please, those people didn't need to die. It was clear that the great misfortune was securely sealed. Who could be so vicious as to know that after taking away the precious weapons of the seven sects, the great misfortune would break out of the seal and bring disaster to the countless creatures in this world? Yet, they still took them away. He took a deep breath and said to Yi Fengtian, "Let's go to the Xiang family." That vicious beast was really strong. He was no match for it and could not subdue it. Now, he was ready to go to the Xiang family to settle his grudge. On this day, he explained some things to the cultivators of this branch of the Immortal Court. Then, he left this huge ancient planet and went to the Xiang family's place with Yi Fengtian. Previously, he had learned from Yu Yaoshi that there were many major forces in the fifth dimension. Naturally, he knew where the Xiang family was and where it was founded. 7 days later, he and Yi Fengtian arrived at a vast group of celestial mountains. As far as the eye could see, the mountains were undulating. Every one of them was incomparably majestic. One could clearly feel how rich the holy spiritual energy was inside them. At the same time, in the center of this group of celestial mountains, there were many celestial palaces, ancient pavilions, and floating islands. Just by looking at them from afar, one could feel a sense of oppression. It was as if there was a supreme god there. Lin Tian and Yi Fengtian arrived. Their eyes fell upon the numerous palaces. This was where the Xiang family was founded. He paused for a moment outside the group of celestial mountains. Then, with Yi Fengtian, he went straight into the group of celestial mountains. There were many guards outside the Xiang family. When they saw Lin Tian and Yi Fengtian from afar, they were all shocked. "That person is here," informed the family head and the great ancestor. Someone said. It was as if they had been told to report as soon as Lin Tian appeared. Immediately, the group of people retreated into the Xiang family. They no longer guarded the Xiang family's gate. Lin Tian and Yi Fengtian soon arrived outside the Xiang family's gate. At first glance, they saw the empty front gate of the Xiang family. "Something is wrong," Yi Fengtian said. The Xiang family was so huge. It was impossible for there to be no guards outside the gate. Moreover, the gate was left wide open, as if waiting for them to come in. No matter how one looked at it, this was not normal. "I know." Lin Tian was very calm. Naturally, he could tell what was going on. Without any change in his expression, he walked straight into the Xiang family's gate. Yi Fengtian followed him into the Xiang family's gate. As soon as the two of them stepped into the Xiang family's gate, it closed with a loud bang. The ancestor of the Xiang family, the head of the Xiang family, the grand elders of the Xiang family, the divine son Xiang Yinfeng, and the other experts of the Xiang family all looked at Lin Tian with cold smiles. "I knew you would come. Welcome." The great ancestor of the Xiang family looked at Lin Tian indifferently, like a high and mighty king. Chapter 2397. The 7 treasures were a halberd, a shield, a cauldron, a saber, a sword, a seal, and a pagoda. Each of the treasures was intertwined with astonishing sacred runes and was surrounded by a majestic killing power. Lin Tian's expression changed when he saw the treasures. His face turned cold. "It's you!" Of the 7 treasures, the halberd was the most obvious one. It was the 7 stars halberd in the sacred mountain in the ancestral Lord Sea region. Although he had never seen the other 6 treasures, he knew what they looked like from the ancient scriptures of the 7 treasures ancestor. They were the shield, cauldron, saber, sword, seal, and pagoda in front of him. They were the treasures used by the 7 treasures ancestor to seal the great calamity in the ancestral Lord Sea region. Some time ago, the great calamity was born. He knew that the treasures of the 7 sects had been taken away. He didn't expect that it was the Xiong clan who did it. How dare you? They knew that taking away the precious armaments of the 7 sects would bring the sealed great calamity back to the world and bring calamity to countless creatures. However, the Xiong clan still did it. Now, more than 10 million creatures had died, tragically. All of this was because of the Xiong clan. Back then, the 7 treasures ancestor had sacrificed his life to seal the great calamity in order to protect all living beings and prevent all living beings from suffering a great calamity. But now, the Xiong clan had released the great calamity for the sake of the 7 sects treasure weapons. How stark was this contrast? How ironic was that? Yi Fengtian stood to the side. He had seen one of the treasures of the 7 sects, so he knew that the treasures of the 7 sects were the treasures used to seal the great calamity in the ancestral Lord Sea region. He also knew that the great calamity was released by the Xiong clan. Although he was a taciturn person and didn't say anything, his expression turned cold, just like Lin Tian's. The Xiong clan's ancestor looked at Lin Tian coldly. He knew that Lin Tian was referring to the fact that the great calamity of the ancestral Lord Sea region had been released by the Xiong clan. But he didn't care at all. You're the bold one. As he spoke, he moved. The 7 precious weapons of the 7 sects circled above his head. He stepped forward and pressed down on Lin Tian. Do you really think that just anyone can barge into my Xiong clan? The treasures of the 7 sects interweaved with resplendent halos. They were the top-grade 5th-dimensional treasures of the 7 sects, and their auras were extremely terrifying. You dog! Lin Tian's eyes were cold as he stepped forward. At this moment, he even neglected the fact that he had been targeted several times by the Xiong clan. He was furious because the Xiong clan had taken away the precious weapons of the 7 sects. In a short period of time, more than 10 million people died tragically. Originally, these people did not need to die. Many of them had relatives, wives, children, and old parents. But now, they were dead, and the Xiong clan who caused their deaths did not care at all. They used these innocent lives as stepping stones to obtain the precious weapons of the 7 sects. They were very proud of the 7 sects' precious weapons. Outside his body, strands of 9-colored holy light intertwined. The Reincarnation Heart Sutra was activated, and majestic might spread out in all directions. Without any superfluous movements, he directly raised his hand, and a dazzling fist light blasted straight towards the other party. The fist light was mixed with the law of all beginnings, and it annihilated everything. The ancestor of the Xiong clan coldly snorted. Within the precious weapons of the 7 sects, the imprints of the 7 treasures ancestor had long been wiped clean, and they had completely turned into his weapons. With the precious weapons of the 7 sects circling above his head, he instantly shattered Lin Tian's all beginnings fist light. With the 7 treasures gathered, your all beginnings fist will no longer be useful. His voice was cold, and the precious weapons of the 7 sects pressed down on Lin Tian. The precious weapons of the 7 sects circled together as if there was some kind of resonance, and they formed a huge 7 stars diagram. Once the 7 stars diagram appeared, all directions trembled. This is the power of the 7 sects' ancestral treasures refined by the 7 treasures ancestor, who was at the peak of the 5th dimension. So powerful. It can definitely suppress him. Within the Xiong clan, the experts of the Xiong clan all clenched their fists. They had already learned about the precious weapons of the 7 sects. Now that they saw the power of the 7 sects' ancestral treasures in the hands of their own ancestor, they were all very excited. Thieving Heaven's secret method, all beginnings, Tao reversal, fate, and reincarnation. Our clan will dominate the 5th dimension forever. At this place, all the experts of the Xiong clan were aware of the plans of their old ancestor and the others. They were going to suppress Lin Tian and obtain the heaven-stealing secret technique from him. After that, they would obtain the myriad beginnings, Tao inverse, fate, and reincarnation. Everything would belong to the Xiang clan. The eyes of the Xiang clan's patriarch, the 9 grand elders, and Xiang Yinfeng all shone brightly as they watched this scene. Ancestor. After obtaining the thieving heaven secret method, all beginnings, Tao reversal, fate, and reincarnation, please hand them over to me, Xiang Yinfeng said as his gaze fell on Lin Tian. His eyes were filled with obvious killing intent. He had never forgotten how he had been forced to flee by Lin Tian. For an expert like him, that was almost an inner demon. He wanted to kill Lin Tian with his own hands to erase this from his heart. Otherwise, it would be very detrimental to his future cultivation. The ancestor of the Xiang clan naturally knew what Xiang Yinfeng was thinking. He did not say anything and simply nodded indifferently. The 7 ancestral treasures surrounded Lin Tian and shone brightly as they formed the 7 stars sacred diagram. They sealed off Lin Tian's surroundings and kept pressuring him. Lin Tian's eyes were cold. After sacrificing the law of all beginnings, the Tao reversal's law emerged and his aura suddenly became stronger. His cultivation of the middle stage of the pure Yang realm was fully displayed. The ancestor of the Xiang clan was shocked. Lin Tian was only at the early stage of the pure Yang realm not long ago. How long had it been since then? He had actually reached the middle stage of the pure Yang realm. This speed of improvement made his heart tremble slightly. However, this was only for a moment. In the next moment, he activated the 7 ancestral treasures, and the 7 stars sacred diagram became even stronger. He looked at Lin Tian and said coldly, "So what if you're at the middle stage of the pure Yang realm? You still have to die." Rumble. The 7 ancestral treasures were activated even stronger. The majestic power completely froze the void around Lin Tian. That little bastard has already reached the middle stage of the pure Yang realm. Damn monster. However, with the 7 ancestral treasures of the 7 treasures ancestor and the ancestor's cultivation of the 5th dimensional realm, he won't be able to resist even if he's at the middle stage of the pure Yang realm. He can only be suppressed. The head of the Xiang clan, the grand elders of the Xiang clan, and Xiang Yinfeng were all surprised, but their eyes soon became cold again. Rumble. Lin Tian's eyes were cold. With the Tao reversal revolving around him, he fought the ancestor of the Xiang clan with his cultivation of the middle stage of the pure Yang realm. The void was collapsing inch by inch. Yi Fengtian watched the battle between Lin Tian and the ancestor of the Xiang clan. After a while, he turned his head and looked at the head of the Xiang clan and the others. Without saying anything, he stepped forward and walked toward them. The head of the Xiang clan naturally noticed his movement. Illusion sorcerer god? Swish. A sound came from not far away, interrupting the head of the Xiang clan. Yi Fengtian suddenly appeared in the middle of the group and grabbed Xiang Yinfeng's neck. Xiang Yinfeng was horrified. He didn't even see Yi Fengtian's movements clearly. Now he couldn't move at all. You poof! The Tao reversal surged. Yi Fengtian shook Xiang Yinfeng's neck slightly and shattered it. Under the Tao reversal, Xiang Yinfeng's body and soul were instantly destroyed. He was Lin Tian's guardian. He clearly saw the killing intent that Xiang Yinfeng showed toward Lin Tian. Fenger, the head of the Xiang clan, was furious. The 9 grand elders were shocked. Xiang Yinfeng was right next to them, but Yi Fengtian killed him in the blink of an eye right in front of them. Bastard! The head of the Xiang clan's eyes turned red. Xiang Yinfeng was his only son, and he had always been proud of him. With a boom, holy light surged out of his body. The weak pure Yang energy intertwined and attacked Yi Fengtian violently. Yi Fengtian tilted his head and stepped forward. The Tao reversal divine sword was formed by the Tao reversal law. He slashed down. Poof! The head of the Xiang clan was at the middle stage of the pure Yang realm. However, because he had used up a lot of energy to retrieve the 7 treasures, he could only release a bit of pure Yang energy. He didn't even have the combat ability of an early-stage pure Yang expert. His body and soul were instantly destroyed. Divine Sun, head of the Xiong clan. The other powerful warriors of the Xiong clan came back to their senses. They were all shocked. In the blink of an eye, their current Divine Sun and head of the Xiong clan had been killed. The 9 grand elders of the Xiong clan were extremely furious. A moment ago, they were still imagining how powerful the Xiong clan would become after their ancestors suppressed Lin Tian. However, the next moment, their current Divine Sun and head of the Xiong clan were killed by Yi Fengtian, who came with Lin Tianyi. The 9 of them were enraged. They unleashed their pure yang energy and attacked Yi Fengtian at the same time. Their current Divine Sun and head of the Xiong clan had been killed by Yi Fengtian, just like that. Boom, boom, boom. The 9 of them were at the peak of the pure yang realm. However, because they had been damaged in the fight for the 7 treasures, they could only exert combat ability at the early stage of the pure yang realm. 9 streams of pure yang energy swept toward Yi Fengtian. Yi Fengtian remained expressionless. He waved the Tao reversing divine sword in his hand. A ring of divine light that could destroy all laws spread out. Poof, poof, poof. Blood splashed. The 9 grand elders of the Xiong clan were all knocked away at once. They all spat out blood. Without saying anything else, Yi Fengtian charged toward the 9 with the Tao reversal divine sword. He was Lin Tian's guardian. If the Xiong clan targeted Lin Tian, the Xiong clan would be their enemy. At the moment, Lin Tian was fighting with the Xiong clan's ancestor. As the guardian of the Xiong clan, Yi Fengtian had to deal with the other members of the Xiong clan. King against king. Generals against generals. Ah! There was a miserable shriek. The Tao reversal divine sword cut into the forehead of the 9th grand elder of the Xiong clan. The 9th grand elder's physical body and soul were destroyed together. He disappeared from the world completely. The powerful warriors of the Xiong clan were all shocked by this scene. Even the ancestor of the Xiong clan, who was fighting against Lin Tian, could not help but be shocked. His face turned cold, and a beam of killing intent swept toward Yi Fengtian. Clang! Lin Tian raised his hand. The sword of reincarnation surged and shattered the beam of killing intent in the blink of an eye. Your opponent is me, Yi Fengtian said coldly. Yi Fengtian was shocked. Chapter 2398. His majestic aura was vast and mighty. Reincarnation and destiny revolved around him. All beginnings, inverse, star creation, dark light, and eternity. 5 different laws of the 5th dimension appeared together and intertwined around him. The entire Xiong family could not help but tremble. All Daos were terrified, and the void was distorted. At this moment, everything was suppressed. The Xiong family ancestor's expression changed immediately. His gaze fell on Lin Tian, and he instantly recognized the star creation, dark light, and eternity intertwined around Lin Tian's body. Lin Tian, after grasping the law of all beginnings and the law of defiance, had now grasped the law of creation, the law of darkness, and the law of indestructibility as well. He alone had grasped all the laws of the 5th dimension. Impossible! At this moment, the most powerful ancestor of the 5th dimension of the Xiong family could not help but tremble violently as he looked at Lin Tian. How was it possible for a single person to control all the laws of the 5th dimension? He had never heard of such a thing. Before this, Lin Tian had only mastered the inverse law of all beginnings. However, in just a few months, Lin Tian had not only reached the middle stage of the pure yang realm from the early stage of the pure yang realm, but he had also mastered the star creation, dark light, and eternity laws. How could this be possible? At the same time, the other experts of the Xiong family also changed their expressions and trembled involuntarily. How is this possible? Everyone's gaze fell on Lin Tian at this moment. Everyone was like mortals who had seen a ferocious ghost. All beginnings, Tao-defying, star creation, dark light, and everlasting. These were the 5 foundation laws of the 5th dimension, the 5 strongest strengths. As long as one could control any one of them, they could look down on the 5th dimension with disdain. But now, Lin Tian alone was able to control all of them. Several pure Yang realm great elders of the Xiang family were injured by Yi Fengtian's inverse law. They were all vomiting blood and were shocked to see this scene. Only Yi Fengtian's expression remained the same. He had already known about this before and did not show the slightest surprise. Clang! He waved the Tao-defying divine sword in his hand, and the Tao-defying law of greater mastery surged and landed on the 8th supreme elder of the Xiang clan. With a puff, accompanied by a shrill scream of terror, the 8th grand elder of the Xiang family immediately exploded into pieces. His soul was not destroyed, and he fled in a sorry state. Yi Fengtian was expressionless. The Tao-reversing divine sword in his hand vibrated. The Tao-reversing laws turned into swords and spread in all directions. Chi, the space was destroyed inch by the inverse Tao laws. Tens of thousands of Taos surged out, trembling because of these laws. In the sky, strands of divine radiance surrounded Lin Tian's body. The light of reincarnation and the light of providence intertwined. The 5 laws of the 5 dimensions, the all-beginning, the inverse, the star creation, the dark light, and the undying, were displayed horizontally. Like a supreme monarch, they closed in on the Xiang family's ancestor. If it were a few months ago, his cultivation level would have remained at the early stage of the pure sun realm, and he had not comprehended the 5 laws of the 5 dimensions at the same time. Facing the Xiang family's ancestor, who had the 7 top ancestral treasures of the 7 sects, he definitely would not have been able to deal with him. But now his cultivation level had reached the middle stage of the pure sun realm, and he had mastered all 5 laws of the 5 dimensions. His combat strength was far from what it was a few months ago. Now, even if the Xiang family's ancestor had the 7 top ancestral treasures of the 7 sects, he was still fearless and could suppress him. Buzz! As he stepped forward, endless light of reincarnation and providence intertwined. The reincarnation river and the great waterfall of providence appeared at the same time, locking down every corner around the Xiang family's ancestor. Even the reincarnation beasts emerged and mercilessly suppressed him. At the same time, the law of all beginnings turned everything into nothingness. The Tao reversing and the dark light laws destroyed everything. The undying laws increased his strength in all aspects at any time. The star creation laws turned into tens of thousands of real stars and locked down the surroundings. Unparalleled attacks landed in front of the Xiang family's ancestor in the blink of an eye. The Xiang family's ancestor was shocked. Facing such a great force, he immediately activated the 7 top ancestral treasures with all his strength and faced Lin Tian. In the blink of an eye, the two collided. Rumble! Dazzling light drowned out everything. Blood splattered, and the Xiang family's ancestor was sent flying along with the 7 ancestral treasures. Ancestor! Everyone in the Xiang family trembled when they saw this scene. Their ancestor had retrieved the top ancestral treasures of the 7 sects from the ancestral Lord Sea domain. With the 7 top ancestral treasures combined and activated by the 5 mainstays, they should be able to suppress anyone below the peak of the 5th dimensional realm. But now, in just a short moment of battle, their ancestor was unexpectedly injured by Lin Tian. Booms! Blazing sacred light rumbled. The Xiang family's ancestor stabilized his body in the distance. The 7 ancestral treasures revolved around him, and he was shocked and angry. His body was stained with blood. He looked at Lin Tian with an unsightly expression. This was not what he had expected. According to his expectations, he could easily suppress Lin Tian after retrieving the 7 top ancestral treasures from the ancestral Lord Sea domain. However, how did Lin Tian reach the middle stage of the pure Yang realm and control all the laws of the 5th dimension in just 2 months? Lin Tian's eyes were cold. His left eye of destiny moved slightly and teleported, instantly appearing in front of the Xiang family's ancestor. The Xiang family's ancestor was shocked. You slap! Lin Tian raised his hand and slapped the Xiang family's ancestor's cheek, sending him flying several hundred feet away. The Xiong family's ancestor roared in shock and anger. He was the ancestor of the older generation, but now he was slapped by Lin Tian. Kill! With a furious roar, he activated the 7 ancestral treasures with his 5th dimensional realm cultivation base. Monstrous sacred light burst out and violently attacked Lin Tian. Lin Tian's expression did not change at all. He simply took a step forward and activated the law of all beginnings, which turned the violent sacred light into nothingness. The Tao-defying law, star-creating law, and dark light law worked together to attack. The undying law increased his offensive and defensive power, shaking the void. In the blink of an eye, the Xiong family's ancestor was once again sent flying with a bang. Dazzling blood floated in the void. At the same time, Lin Tian raised his hand. The light of reincarnation intertwined in his palm and grabbed one of the 7 treasured weapons, a halberd. Buzz! The light of reincarnation surged. It had been a long time since it was used in conjunction with the weapon control technique. It forcefully erased the imprint of the Xiong family's ancestor on the halberd. Affected by this, the Xiong family's ancestor trembled violently and spat out another mouthful of blood. Again, with a furious roar, the Xiong family's ancestor activated the 6 treasured weapons of the other 6 clans. He also used a secret technique to activate a treasured furnace from the depths of the Xiong family's residence. The furnace was covered in flames. It was also a 5th dimensional treasured weapon. But this was not the end. As the treasured furnace flew out, the Xiong family's ancestor quickly formed seals with his hands. In an instant, numerous runes appeared in the Xiong family's residence, activating the family's defensive killing formation. A terrifying killing intent intertwined with each other. Today, you will be sealed here. He looked at Lin Tian. At this moment, he used his full strength. His unparalleled killing intent nearly drowned out everything. Tornadoes continuously swept up in the Xiong family's residence. Lin Tian's black hair fluttered in front of his forehead, but his eyes were incomparably cold. In his hand, the peak 5th dimensional treasured halberd that he had just seized trembled. Halberd light instantly filled the sky. He used this peak 5th dimensional treasured weapon to execute the reincarnation sword technique. The laws of reincarnation, destiny, beginning, defying, star creation, and indestructible vibrated together, intertwining with each other to create a destructive rain of halberd light that spread out in all directions. For a moment, crackling sounds could be heard. The Xiong family's defensive killing formation's runes were shattered one by one. The boundless killing intent in the Xiong family's residence instantly disappeared without a trace. My family's defensive killing formation. How? The experts of the Xiong family were shocked. Their defensive formation was left behind by their ancestor. Its killing intent was astonishing, but now it was shattered in an instant. Even the grand elders of this branch were aghast. Impossible. The first supreme elder of this branch couldn't help but cry out. No matter what, he was unwilling to believe this scene. However, in the next moment, a swift and fierce sword light intertwined with the defying law slashed past. With a puff, his head was chopped off. Yi Fengtian's expression remained the same. Holding the defying divine sword, he swung it. The complete mastery of the defying law suppressed everything. Puff, puff, puff. Blood splattered. The supreme elders of the Xiong family were severely injured because of the 5th dimension ancestral treasures of the 7 sections. Now, they could only exert the strength of the early stage of the pure Yang realm. Facing Yi Fengtian, who was infinitely close to the peak of the all-creation realm and had mastered the defying law, they couldn't block him at all. They were injured again and again by Yi Fengtian. Supreme elders. The other cultivators of the same branch saw this and were all shocked. However, none of them dared to step forward to help. The Tao-defying divine sword in Yi Fengtian's hand, which was formed by the Tao-defying law, was too horrifying. Boom! In the sky, the holy light rumbled. The Xiong family's ancestor was extremely shocked and furious. All kinds of divine abilities and grand arts were madly pressuring Lin Tian. At the beginning, he was indifferent and had the feeling that everything was under his control. However, at this moment, it had completely disappeared. Lin Tian's eyes were cold. His left eye was destiny, and his right eye was reincarnation. He was like an ancient god walking in the mortal world, with the all-beginning and defying laws of the 5 dimensions. Together with the 7-star halberd in his hand, he suppressed the endless destructive attacks. Boom! Reincarnation law, destiny law, law of all beginnings, defying law, star creation law, dark light law, and undying law. The 7 terrifying powers appeared together and almost enveloped the entire Xiang family. Endless holy light flooded in all directions. In the blink of an eye, the Xiang family's great ancestor was sent flying again, coughing blood. Half of his body was smashed to pieces. Lin Tian raised his hand and activated the weapon control technique. The light of reincarnation intertwined and grabbed the 6 treasures of the 7 treasures ancestral lord that had been taken by the Xiang family's great ancestor. He also captured the 5-dimensional furnace that belonged to the Xiang family. The light of reincarnation entered the treasures of the 5 dimensions and wiped out the spiritual imprint of the Xiang family in the blink of an eye. Such a scene made the experts of the Xiang family tremble again. The top ancestral treasures of the 7 sects that their great ancestors had painstakingly obtained were all taken away by Lin Tian just like that. Even the 5th-dimensional treasure weapon that belonged to them had been snatched away by Lin Tian. Chapter 23:99. He had painstakingly retrieved the artifacts of the 7 sects from the ancestral sea domain, but now, Lin Tian had snatched all of them away. Even his own 5th-dimensional treasure furnace had been snatched away. The Xiang family's ancestor was shocked and furious, and he rushed towards Lin Tian. His 5th-dimensional aura surged and pressed down on Lin Tian. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived in front of Lin Tian. Lin Tian's gaze was cold. His right eye, the reincarnation eye, moved slightly, and he used the mysterious and powerful illusion technique, Purgatory of Reincarnation. This caused the Xiang family's ancestor to tremble violently, and the 5th-dimensional aura around his body instantly became chaotic. In an instant, the Xiang family's ancestor saw his soul being pulled into a purgatory and being bitten by countless resentful souls. Get lost! He was, after all, a 5th-dimensional expert. With a furious roar, the Xiang family's ancestor circulated his saint energy and quickly broke free from the illusion. At the same time, Lin Tian took a step forward and appeared in front of the Xiang family's ancestor with his teleportation ability. A huge vortex of fate energy appeared, and at the same time, the heavenly river of reincarnation appeared. Together with the law of all beginnings, the law of Tao inverse, the law of creation, the law of dark light, and the law of indestructibility, they suppressed the Xiang family's ancestor. The Xiang family's ancestor struggled, and his saint energy surged, but it was useless. At this moment, he couldn't break free from Lin Tian's seal. "Let me go! Let me go!" The Xiang family's ancestor roared, and at the same time, his face was filled with fear. He was suppressed by Lin Tian, and no matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free from Lin Tian's power. Lin Tian raised his hand and punched the Xiang family's ancestor's abdomen, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood essence. At the same time, the other experts of the Xiang family were all shocked. The strongest person of their generation, the ancestor of the 5th-dimensional realm, was actually suppressed by Lin Tianxing at this moment. Ancestor! On the other side, the Grand Supreme Elders of the same branch were shocked and furious. When they saw this scene, they couldn't help but rush toward Lin Tian. However, at that moment, the fiercest aura of the inverse laws burst out. Yi Fengtian was silent. The inverse divine sword in his hand disappeared. For the first time, he raised his hand to make an ancient seal. An ocean of inverse laws was created. As soon as the Tao-defying ocean appeared, the aura of the Tao-defying law reached its peak and swept them all in. "Ah, no!" Mournful screams rang out immediately, and the blood mist exploded one after another. 7 breaths later, The inverse Tao ocean dispersed, and the few grand elders of the Xiong clan who had been swept away disappeared as well. All of them were destroyed in body and soul. Supreme elders, such a scene caused all the experts in the Xiong family to tremble violently once again. The most powerful patriarchs had been suppressed, and the family head, divine son, and several grand elders had all been killed. How could this be? Yi Fengtian glanced at those people and didn't do anything else. He stood aside quietly, waiting for Lin Tian to deal with the Xiong clan patriarch. Outside Lin Tian's body, various kinds of holy light, such as reincarnation and providence, surrounded him. He looked at the Xiong clan patriarch indifferently. The Xiong clan patriarch couldn't help but tremble. At this moment, he completely understood the situation he was in. Facing Lin Tian's cold eyes, he said, "Little brother, everything is negotiable. Let me go. Let the Xiong clan go. I'm willing to." Slap. Lin Tian raised his hand and slapped out, interrupting the other party's words and leaving behind 5 bright red finger marks on the other party's face. The Xiong clan patriarch couldn't help but be shocked and furious. "You slap." Lin Tian slapped him in the face again. Then, without saying anything, he directly sent his powerful divine sense into the Xiong clan patriarch's sea of consciousness, capturing the scene of him, the Xiong clan patriarch, and the grand elders taking the top ancestral treasures of the 7 sects in the ancestral Lord Sea. Then, he attacked again. The law of all beginnings entered the Xiong clan patriarch's body and crippled his cultivation. In the blink of an eye, the Xiong clan patriarch fell from the 5th-dimensional realm to an ordinary mortal. The surging aura around his body instantly dispersed. You cripple me?" The Xiong clan patriarch trembled violently after his cultivation was crippled. His eyes and face were instantly filled with despair. A moment ago, he was a high and mighty 5th-dimensional realm ancestor. The next moment, he became an ordinary mortal. He couldn't stop trembling. In an instant, he aged countless times. He stared at Lin Tian in horror. He was crippled by Lin Tian, just like that. Lin Tian's eyes were cold. He said to Yi Fengtian, who was standing next to him, "Take away all the ancient scriptures of their family." Yi Fengtian nodded and walked towards the depths of the Xiong clan. Now, within the huge Xiong clan, there was no one who could stop him, and no one dared to. Under Lin Tian's instructions, he walked through every nook and cranny of the Xiong clan. After about an hour, he collected all the ancient scriptures of the Xiong clan, as well as all the immortal pills, precious medicines, heavenly materials, earthly treasures, and divine weapons that had been accumulated since ancient times. An hour later, he returned from the depths of the Xiong clan. All the valuable treasures of the Xiong clan had been stored in a pure Yang grade spatial artifact. He handed it over to Lin Tian. The Xiong clan patriarch trembled in fear and despair. At the same time, he stared at Lin Tian with hatred. At this moment, he didn't have the time to care about the family's inheritance that had been taken away. His cultivation had been crippled by Lin Tian. At this moment, none of the other experts of the Xiong clan dared to speak. They originally thought that after their patriarch and the others obtained the top ancestral treasures of the 7 sects in the ancestral sea region, they would be able to suppress Lin Tian and obtain everything. Then, their Xiong clan would be able to dominate the 5th dimension. However, they didn't expect that they would end up like this. Lin Tian coldly looked at the Xiong clan patriarch. He swept his gaze across the people of the Xiong clan. Saint power vibrated. After an hour, he engraved an extremely wide array that completely enveloped the entire Xiong clan. This made it so that no one could leave the Xiong clan that was covered by the array. As for the living beings outside, no matter how strong or weak their cultivation was, they could easily step into the array. This array had a fixed period of time. It would last for a month before dispersing on its own. "I won't kill you. I'll hand your Xiong clan over to the people of the 5th dimension and see how they deal with you." He looked at the Xiong clan patriarch who had been crippled by him and said coldly. With a wave of his hand, he sent out tens of thousands of divine sense images. These images were the images of the Xiong clan patriarch taking the top ancestral treasures of the seven sects in the ancestral sea region. At the same time, he also included the fact that the Xiong clan patriarch of the fifth dimension had his cultivation crippled. The Xiong clan patriarch and a group of grand elders, who were both pure sun realm experts, had been killed, and the strongest person in the clan was only at the all creations realm. The Xiong clan patriarch clearly knew that taking away the ancestral treasures of the seven sects in the ancestral sea region would cause the great calamity to appear and countless living beings would suffer. However, they still did it. Now more than 10 million living beings had died tragically. Moreover, more innocent living beings would definitely suffer in the future. This kind of evil behavior was intolerable by the heavens. They should bear the wrath of the entire fifth dimension. Let's go. He coldly glanced at the Xiong clan patriarch and called out to Yifontian. They passed through the formation he had set up and left the Xiong clan. This formation was set up outside the Xiong clan and enveloped the entire clan, preventing everyone inside from leaving. However, he was the one who set up the formation, so he naturally could leave with Yifontian without being affected. After that, the formation would still be there and would last for a month, preventing the people inside the Xiong clan from escaping. However, outsiders would be allowed to enter. He believed that after he sent out those divine sense images, it would take at most a few days for the entire fifth dimension to know why the great calamity had appeared in the ancestral sea region. Then, they would definitely rush to this place in an extremely short amount of time. 1 month. The formation he left behind would trap the Xiong clan for 1 month. It was enough for the people of the fifth dimension to flatten this place. Without stopping, he left with Yifontian and headed for the large planet where the Immortal Quartz branch was located. At the same time, the tens of thousands of divine sense images he sent out regarding why the great calamity had appeared spread far and wide in the blink of an eye. Not long after, they fell into the eyes of the cultivators of the fifth dimension, causing them to become extremely angry. Bastard! Bastard! Damn the Xiong clan! How could they be so vicious? The safety of the countless living beings in the fifth dimension and the stability of the boundless mountains and rivers are actually not more valuable than the treasures of the seven sects. In the fifth dimension, the vast cultivation world was once again in an uproar. Everyone who knew about this matter was extremely furious. More than 10 days had passed since the great calamity had appeared. During these 10 days, no cultivator could stop the great calamity. More than 300 great sects had been destroyed, and more than 20 million living beings had died miserably. A large area of territory had been completely destroyed and turned into ruins because of the great calamity. That was a true source of destruction, and this source of destruction was released by the Xiong clan. Hundreds of great sects were destroyed, 20 million living beings died miserably, and a large area of territory was destroyed. It was all because of the Xiong clan. Damn it! Damn it! Kill! Kill! Kill them all! Let their clan never be reincarnated. Someone roared angrily. Currently, no one was able to stop that terrifying, great, vicious beast. After knowing why the great, vicious beast had appeared, the 5 great sects were seething with rage. One by one, the great sects sent their troops over. Numerous experts rushed towards the Xiong family from every corner. In just a few days, groups of experts had arrived at the Xiong family's residence and attacked furiously. Lin Tian had set up a grand formation outside the Xiong clan, so no one in the Xiong clan could escape. They could only passively wait for the fifth dimension's cultivators to attack. Faced with the Xiong clan's ancestor being crippled, the Xiong clan's patriarch and a group of grand elders being killed, and the enraged great sects and numerous cultivators of the fifth dimension, the Xiong clan, whose strongest expert was only an all-creation realm expert, was simply unable to stop them. In the blink of an eye, the Xiong clan's experts were killed one after another. Blood splattered everywhere. Everyone, please stop. Please allow us to explain. An ordinary elder of the Xiong clan cried out in horror. However, in the next moment, he was attacked by a group of cultivators. Endless killing intent descended upon him. Explain my ass. Are you even human? Do you know how many people have died? At least 20 million living beings have died miserably. 20 million. You are all worse than pigs and dogs. The cultivators of the fifth dimension were enraged. Their eyes were filled with killing intent as they massacred the entire Xiong clan. In the fifth dimension, the ancient planet where the Immortal Quartz branch was located, Lin Tian and Yi Feng Tian had left the Xiong clan and returned here. That great calamity. What's the situation now? After returning to the Immortal Quartz branch, Lin Tian asked a transferred Dao Immortal General who was in charge of collecting information on all aspects of the fifth dimension. Chapter 2400. It had been nearly 20 days since the Great Evil appeared. Although Lin Tian did not take action to deal with the Great Evil, he was still very concerned about its situation. After all, the Great Evil had caused too much of an impact. Nearly 30 million living beings have been killed. 400 great sects have been destroyed. Many mountains and rivers have completely disappeared. The Immortal General who was questioned reported. Lin Tian was silent. In just 20 days, 400 great sects had been destroyed and 30 million living beings had died tragically. After a pause, he shook his head. After giving some instructions to Yi Feng Tian, he entered an ancient palace and went into seclusion. The Great Evil rampaged across the fifth dimension. He was concerned about this matter, but he really did not have the ability to deal with it. Buzz! In the palace, he automatically operated the Reincarnation Sutra. Strands of nine-colored holy light intertwined. Yi Feng Tian stood outside the palace, protecting him in silence. Roar! The Great Evil's ferocious roar shook the sky. Its body was covered in gray scales, and its eyes were red. When its 5 tails moved, everything was destroyed. Bloody mists exploded in the void. The great vicious beast didn't seem to have any intelligence. It only knew how to destroy and kill. Everywhere it passed, mountains and rivers were turned into ruins. Countless living beings exploded as well, turning into bloody mist one by one. Damn it! Who can stop it? Damn the Xiong family. Damn them! The cultivators of the fifth dimension were shocked, angry, and frightened. The Great Evil was tens of thousands of meters tall. It was the root of all destruction. Living beings died, tragically one after another. No one could stop it. In front of it, they were as weak as ants. In the blink of an eye, another 7 days passed. The Great Evil came out of the ancestral Lord realm and rampaged for dozens of days. 40 million living beings died tragically. However, this was not the end. The Great Evil moved forward aimlessly, destroying everything in its sight. Fifth dimension, Xiong family. Inside the Xiong family, the ground was dyed red with blood. The once majestic and glorious Xiong family was now in ruins. It's actually that person from the fourth dimension who crippled that old bastard of the Xiong family and left those spiritual sense imprints. This grand formation outside the Xiong clan was also left behind by that person. He deliberately trapped the Xiong clan and left it to us to deal with. Groups of cultivators stood above the ruins of the Xiong clan. They were cultivators from every corner of the fifth dimension. They were filled with endless anger as they completely destroyed the Xiong clan and killed everyone in it. At the same time, these cultivators were puzzled as to who had crippled the Xiong clan's ancestor and why there was such a strange formation outside the Xiong clan. They searched the sea of consciousness of some Xiong clan experts and found out everything. Lin Tian had killed his way into the Xiong clan, crippled the Xiong clan's ancestor, seized the 7 treasures sect's precious weapon from the Xiong clan's ancestor, and then sent out those divine sense imprints. Because of this, some people even thought that perhaps it was Lin Tian who told the fifth dimension that there was a great calamity sealed under the ancestral sea region and that the 7 sects' treasured weapons should not be touched. This was only a guess, but these people felt that it was very reasonable. After all, the person who had the most opportunity to come into contact with this matter in the ancestral sea domain was the most powerful person there, Lin Tian. Moreover, the method of informing the entire fifth dimension and the method of informing the fifth dimension of the great calamity released by the Xiong family were completely the same. This caused all the cultivators in the Xiang clan to be slightly startled. Back then, the person who warned the fifth guardian that there was a great calamity in the realm Ancestor Sea region was actually Lin Tian, who came from the fourth dimension. At the same time, during this process, these cultivators also learned from the Sea of Consciousness of some Xiang family experts that Lin Tian controlled 5 types of laws of the fifth dimension at the same time. Everyone trembled slightly. 5 types of laws of the fifth dimension. He's actually alone. In our fifth dimension, in the entire cultivation world, there shouldn't be anyone who can be his match. No, definitely not. Some people murmured to themselves. The cultivators in the Xiang family stared blankly at the great formation that enveloped the Xiang family. Now, a month had not passed yet, and the great formation had not disappeared. They had destroyed the Xiang family, but they could not leave for the time being. That great calamity. After a dozen breaths, someone said, "That person, will he make a move?" As this person spoke, the surrounding people could not help but look over. Their gazes could not help but move. Currently, Lin Tian was undoubtedly the strongest person in the fifth dimension. At this time, a great calamity had appeared and caused chaos in the fifth dimension. If there was one person who could make the fifth dimension place their hopes on, then that person could only be Lin Tian. Everyone's eyes lit up slightly, but soon their eyes gradually dimmed. In the past, we looked down on creatures from the fourth dimension and thought that they were countless levels higher than us. It is said that when he ascended to the fifth dimension, he was even captured by the Golden Mark Immortal sect as a slave. One of them said, "Now that I think about it, at that time, although that person might have deliberately been captured by the Golden Mark Immortal sect, it was still a display of our attitude towards creatures from the fourth dimension. What qualifications do we have to make that person from the fourth dimension help us?" That person said, "And even if he is willing to help, with that great calamity's strength, can he stop it?" As soon as this was said, the cultivators in this place fell silent again. These people had already understood Lin Tian's strength from the knowledge sea of the experts from the Xiang family. He was at the middle stage of the pure Yang realm and had mastered the all-beginning, Tao-defying, star creation, dark light, indestructible, fate, and the legendary reincarnation. It was easy for him to kill an ordinary expert from the fifth dimension and could be said to be heaven-defying to the extreme. He was definitely the strongest person in the fifth dimension. However, even though they knew Lin Tian's strength, these cultivators still did not think that Lin Tian could suppress that great calamity. It was simply too terrifying and could destroy almost everything. It was the source of destruction. For a moment, the place fell silent again. If I were him, facing such a destructive great calamity, to be honest, I wouldn't make a move. Someone sighed. As soon as this was said, the surrounding people opened their mouths, but no words came out. Although they were unwilling to admit it, they were actually thinking the same from the bottom of their hearts. The fifth dimension had always looked down on the fourth dimension. As a creature from the fourth dimension, Lin Tian had nothing to do with the peace of the fifth dimension. There was no benefit in making a move. Instead, it would be very dangerous. Therefore, was there a need to take the risk? The fifth dimension is destined to bear this calamity? Will there never be a day of peace? How many people will die in the end? Damn, the Xiang family. Bastards! The group of cultivators could not help but grit their teeth as they thought about the great calamity. They thought about how the great calamity was unleashed by the Xiang clan and how many living beings would die miserably in the future. Their eyes could not help but reveal endless fury. In the fifth dimension, on the huge ancient planet where the Immortal Court branch was located, Buzz. In this branch of the Immortal Court, Lin Tian sat cross-legged in one of the treasured halls and cultivated. The omnidirectional holy spiritual chi surged towards him. His essence, chi, and spirit were rising at an extremely fast speed. Time passed by little. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. After half a month of cultivation, in the center of the treasured hall, the aura outside his body became even stronger. He was very close to the peak of the pure Yang stage. He closed his eyes slightly, his eyelids twitching from time to time. Vaguely, He seemed to be able to see clouds of blood mist exploding, and he seemed to be able to hear cries of pain echoing in his ears. Half a day later, he stopped cultivating. The treasured hall was spacious. He paused for a moment, stood up, and walked out of the hall. The great calamity was born, and innocent living beings were dying at every moment. Although it had nothing to do with him, it made it difficult for him to calm down. Yi Fengtian had been guarding outside the treasured hall. When he saw Lin Tian coming out of seclusion, he immediately went up to him. After a moment of silence, he said, "From the ancestral Lord's sea domain to the south, more than 700 great sects have disappeared, and nearly 100 million living beings have suffered." As Lin Tian's guardian, he knew that Lin Tian was most concerned about the great calamity when he came out of seclusion. Although he had been guarding Lin Tian here, the immortal generals of the Celestial Court had been reporting to him about the great calamity. Therefore, he knew very well about the great calamity. Lin Tian was silent. Nearly 100 million living beings had died. "I'm going out for a moment," he said to Yi Fengtian, and walked out of the Celestial Court. Yi Fengtian didn't say anything and followed quietly. Naturally, he knew what Lin Tian was going to do at this time. "Stay here. Don't follow me." Lin Tian Dao. With that, he disappeared from the Celestial Court. Boom! The torrent of destruction was rampant, and the boundless sky trembled. The great calamity was tens of thousands of feet tall, and its 5 tails shook. Everywhere it went, countless living beings trembled in fear. Roar! With a loud roar, rolling sound waves spread out like ripples on water. Dozens of mountains were turned into dust and disappeared completely. At the same time, a large number of living beings were killed and turned into blood mist. "Run! Run! Run!" Some cultivators shouted, and all of them ran away. They couldn't resist such a great calamity at all. Roar! Another roar came from the great calamity's mouth. A blood-colored wave of destruction spread out like a raging wave. The cultivators ran quickly, but they couldn't outrun the blood-colored wave. In the blink of an eye, the wave pressed down on them. Everyone was in despair at this moment. The blood-colored wave pressed down without slowing down and froze the void in all directions. At this moment, there was an ear-piercing sound of a sword. A 9-colored sword aura came from afar. It was about 10 feet long and was extremely fast with an extremely fierce aura. In the blink of an eye, it collided with the blood-colored wave that pressed down on them. With a loud boom, the two shattered at the same time. Destructive hurricanes burst out and cracked the void around them. Lin Tian came from afar and arrived in an instant. The 4 symbols Dao diagram surrounded them and isolated them from the destructive hurricanes. "Let's go," he said to the group. Seeing Lin Tian suddenly appear, the cultivators all trembled. "You are," a moment ago, facing the blood-colored wave of destruction. They were all in despair and had imagined the scene of death. However, they didn't expect that Lin Tian would appear in the next moment and save them all. Chapter 2401. As for Lin Tian, there was no one in the 5th dimension who didn't know him. At this time, when the cultivators saw Lin Tian, they naturally recognized him, and all of them trembled slightly. At this time, wherever the great calamity passed by, all the cultivators would retreat and flee. Who would care about other people? However, Lin Tian had appeared here and saved them. This caused all of them to be shocked and surprised. Roar! The roar shook the sky, and the blood-red wave swept toward them again. In the blink of an eye, it pressed down on them. Lin Tian raised his hand, and the law of indestructibility surged. Together with the law of creation, they formed a holy shield and blocked the wave. "Let's go. There's a limit to how much I can stop it. While I'm holding it back, inform the others to escape as quickly as possible. Run as far as you can. Try your best to retreat to the stars outside the central great world," he said to the cultivators. With a slight thought, a 9-colored sword energy interweaved and slashed toward the great calamity. The great calamity came out of the ancestral Lord's sea region and caused chaos in the 5th dimension. Countless creatures in the 5th dimension were facing a situation of death. Although these people had nothing to do with him, he did not belong to this world, and his current combat strength was far inferior to the great calamities, so coming here was very dangerous for him. No matter from which point of view, there was no need for him to get involved in this mess. However, he still came. These people had nothing to do with him, and he did not care whether the fifth dimension was peaceful or not. However, he knew that the great calamity had been causing chaos in this world. He knew that innocent creatures were dying every moment. In the end, he could not bear it and could not calm himself down. Therefore, in the end, he still came out of seclusion and approached the great calamity. With his current combat strength, he could not subdue the great calamity. However, he believed that he could still stop the great calamity's actions. By doing so, he could buy time for many creatures to escape and save a lot of lives. Clang! The sound of a sword was ear-piercing. A 9-colored sword energy fell in front of the great calamity in the blink of an eye, and all of them landed on the great calamity's body. However, these swift and fierce sword lights were all shattered at the first possible moment, not harming the great evil in the slightest. This, on the other hand, caused the great ferocious beast to become even more violent. With another vicious roar, rolling blood-colored waves surged forth. In the blink of an eye, this new wave of blood surged over, directly obliterating everything. Even the heavens collapsed because of it. Lin Tian urged the undying law and the star creation law to the strongest, turning into the strongest defensive shield, blocking in front. The blood-colored waves crashed into the defensive shield, and the boundless force shook his body violently. The group of fifth-dimensional heavens cultivators behind him turned pale. All of them were trembling and in a daze. Lin Tian, someone who came from the fourth-dimensional heavens, had come here to help them stop the great calamity in the fifth-dimensional heavens. He had restrained the great calamity's movements and bought them time to escape with the other living beings in this realm. At this stage, no one in the fifth-dimensional heavens would do such a thing. Even the top orthodoxies were avoiding this great calamity. However, Lin Tian, who came from the fourth-dimensional heavens, had stepped forward bravely, causing everyone to tremble slightly. "Why aren't you leaving?" Lin Tian shouted in a low voice. His 3 words were somewhat loud and dull, causing the group of people to involuntarily tremble again. You take care," someone said as he quickly retreated and fled into the distance. After that, the other cultivators also quickly fled. In the blink of an eye, they had fled far away and disappeared from this area. For a time, only Lin Tian and the 10,000 feet Great Calamity were left in this area. Roar! The Great Calamity roared. Its eyes were crimson red, and as its 5 tails swayed, countless blood-colored blades swept towards Lin Tian in an extraordinary manner. Lin Tian used the combination of the indestructible law and star creation law to block these blood-colored blades. His body trembled violently from the impact. Although the blades did not land on his body, he could not help but feel a sharp pain all over his body. "I seem to be quite foolish. Does this count as the act of a saint?" He was clearly not a person from the fifth dimension and could not fight against this great beast, but he still jumped here to restrain it alone. It was all for the sake of reducing the number of deaths in the fifth dimension. He could not help but laugh at himself. He had always thought that only saints would risk their lives and fight for complete strangers. He had always thought that he would never do such a thing, but now he seemed to be doing such a thing. "So be it," he muttered to himself. In the next moment, his eyes flickered slightly. 9 black moons appeared in his left eye, and reincarnation Tao patterns intertwined in his right eye. The eye of destiny and the reincarnation eye opened at the same time. The light of destiny and the reincarnation light intertwined, and his aura instantly skyrocketed. "Big guy, please stay here for a while," he said indifferently. As soon as he finished speaking, his left eye of destiny trembled slightly. In an instant, a huge river of fate intertwined and appeared above the great calamity's head. It pressed down mightily. At the same time, endless reincarnation Tao patterns shone in his right eye. Hundreds of reincarnation beasts condensed. They were all 10,000 feet tall, and each roared as if they were real and charged towards the great calamity. In the blink of an eye, the river of fate submerged the great calamity. The hundreds of reincarnation beasts each pressed down on a part of the great calamity's body. Majestic reincarnation light surged from different directions. Roar! The great calamity roared, and its voice shook the sky. A blood-red destructive force swept out, destroying everything. It instantly shattered the river of fate and the hundreds of reincarnation beasts. The surrounding void was completely annihilated, and it was difficult to recover for a while. It turned turbid. It is indeed terrifying, Lin Tian muttered to himself. He had used both fate and reincarnation at the same time. He did not hold back much of his strength, but it was easily destroyed by the great calamity. Roar! Another wild roar rang out. The great calamity's eyes were crimson red. At this moment, its gaze fell on Lin Tian. Although it did not have any intelligence, it showed anger towards the person who attacked it. Its 5 tails moved together and whipped towards Lin Tian. Lin Tian was the first to react. When the 5th dimension whipped towards him, he felt as if a heaven-destroying sacred sword was slashing towards him. At that moment, he did not dare to hesitate at all. Following the Eye of Destiny and the Reincarnation Eye, 5 types of 5th dimension laws appeared at the same time, and he faced the great calamity with all his strength. The group of cultivators who were saved by Lin Tian and escaped had already escaped far away. At the same time, they informed the nearby living beings to escape. That person, one of them looked in the direction from a distance. He could still feel the majestic, destructive force in that place, and he could also feel the constant rumbling from that place. Therefore, although he could not see the scene there, he still knew that Lin Tian was still there, holding back the great calamity and buying time for the living beings of the 5th dimension to escape. A person from the 4th dimension stepped forward to hold back the great calamity for the sake of the 5th dimension. Another person spoke, clenching his hands tightly. At this time, they were safe, but his expression was very ugly. There was gratitude, admiration, and even more remorse. At the very least, we must let the entire 5th dimension know who stepped forward to protect us when the great calamity appeared. Someone said. The group of people gritted their teeth and sent out divine sense imprints one after another. They quickly flew to every corner of the 5th dimension, reminding everyone to escape to a safe place, and also announcing to the entire 5th dimension that when the great calamity appeared, when countless living beings were facing death, when everyone was in a state of panic, only Lin Tian stepped forward to hold back the great calamity by himself, stopping the great calamity from killing, and fighting for the peace of the 5th dimension and the lives of countless living beings. Soon, these divine sense imprints landed in the eyes of the cultivators of the 5th dimension at an extremely fast speed. That person actually risked his life to fight for us, who were completely unrelated to him. The cultivators of the 5th dimension were all dumbfounded. The sect masters of the great sects were all silent. Roar! A destructive gust of wind swept out, and the great calamity roared, destroying everything in its path. Outside Lin Tian's body, the all-beginnings defying Tao, star creation, dark light, indestructible, fate, and reincarnation interweaved at the same time. With the reincarnation divine domain protecting his body, he swept out waves after waves of law-killing light, attacking the great calamity again and again. Boom! 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 A shocking explosion and a destructive gust of wind swept out. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Roar! The great calamity roared violently. Its eyes were crimson red, and its 5 tails swayed, destroying everything. Its pure, murderous aura was extremely terrifying. Lin Tian resisted with all his might, but he was sent flying in the blink of an eye. Blood overflowed from his mouth, and his face was slightly pale. A few large cracks even appeared on his sturdy body, and his clothes were dyed red in the blink of an eye. I didn't grow up to be so big for nothing, he muttered softly. In these 3 days, he had obstructed the other party's movements and kept them in this area. This was already the 37th time he had been injured. Although the injuries each time weren't extremely serious and weren't fatal, they weren't light injuries either. I'll just treat it as a form of training. Maybe I'll break through to the peak of the pure yang realm as I fight. He looked at the great calamity that was 10,000 feet tall and said, again. The great calamity seemed to have sensed Lin Tian's provocation, and it roared again. Its eyes were even redder as it stared at Lin Tian. Lin Tian felt a huge pressure. He took a deep breath, and the nine-colored holy light around his body became even stronger. Almost at the same time, clanging sounds of swords and sabers intertwined with boundless holy light. They surged from the sky and landed on the great calamity's body. In the distant sky, a dense crowd of cultivators came from all directions. The Yu family came, the godly palace of all beginnings came, the 100-sage ancient pavilion came, the heaven induction divine palace came, the other great sects came, and a group of independent cultivators came as well. They arrived in the blink of an eye. Yu Yaoshi and Lu Aoxian rushed at the front. They were extremely fast, and in a flash, they arrived before Lin Tian. You're injured? Chapter 2402. You. Looking at Yu Yaoshi and Lu Aoxian, Lin Tianwei's expression changed. Then he looked at the other experts in surprise. The Yu family, the All Beginnings Divine Palace, the heaven-leading godly temple, the 100 Saints ancient pavilion, the other great sects, and the vagrant cultivators were all here to attack this great ominous beast. This was beyond his expectations. At the same time, he saw Yi Fengtian and the thousands of other experts of the Immortal Court. He clearly told Yi Fengtian not to come here because it was too dangerous. But now they still came here. Little brother is so righteous. How can we hide like turtles? Yu family's ancestor said. That's right. All Beginnings' ancestor nodded. A few days ago, Lin Tian had come here alone and saved a group of cultivators from the Great Calamity. He had held back the Great Calamity by himself and bought time for the other living beings to escape. This matter was recorded by the group of cultivators using their divine sense and quickly spread throughout the fifth dimension. It caused the inheritances of the great sects in the fifth dimension to fall silent, causing countless rogue cultivators to fall silent. As people of the fifth dimension, none of them stood out to stop the great evil beast when it appeared. They were afraid of the great evil beast. However, Lin Tianwei, who came from the fourth dimension, stood out and fought for the fifth dimension. This made them feel ashamed. Roar! The great evil beast let out a roar that shook the sky. The blood-red light of destruction spread out and intertwined like water ripples. Everything in its path was destroyed. Such an aura was terrifying to the extreme. Lin Tianwei pulled Yu Yaoshi and Lu Aoxian behind him. His eye of reincarnation trembled slightly. In an instant, he opened a reincarnation river and met the great evil beast's blood-red light. At the same time, he summoned more than 1,000 reincarnation beasts to meet the great evil beast. The fierce collision shook the entire world. Space collapsed. The reincarnation river and the reincarnation beasts met the great evil beast. In the blink of an eye, they were shattered by the great evil beast. Roar! Another roar rang out, and an even more terrifying aura surged forth. It shook the surroundings and interweaved with an endless aura of destruction. Lin Tian stood in front of him. After the light of fate and the light of reincarnation, the law of all beginnings, the law of Tao defying, the law of creation, the law of dark light, and the law of indestructibility intertwined at the same time. The 5 laws of the fifth dimension turned into a fifth dimension sacred diagram and rushed forward. Such a scene caused everyone in the area to tremble. That is, everyone was shocked. Even the ancestors of the Yu family, Divine Palace of All Beginnings, Heaven Induction Divine Palace, and 100 Sage Ancient Pavilion were no exception. They all recognized the laws of the fifth dimension that Lin Tian summoned. Lin Tian had actually managed to control all 5 types of fifth-dimensional laws. Yu Yaoshi and Lu Aoxian's eyes glowed with excitement. To be able to control 5 laws of the fifth dimension at the same time, just what kind of thought was this? This had never happened before. However, soon, everyone came to their senses. Lin Tian was currently fighting against the great evil for the sake of the fifth dimension. This was not the time for them to be shocked by Lin Tian's ability to control 5 types of fifth dimension laws. The fifth dimension is our territory. It should be protected by us. But now, little brother Lin, who came from the fourth dimension, is bleeding for us. How can we be at ease? The ancestor of the Heaven Induction Divine Palace spoke. With a clang, the Heaven Induction Divine sword flew out from his body and bloomed with a blazing light. Everyone, follow little brother Lin in battle and kill this beast. Kill the ancestors of the Yu family, Divine Palace of all beginnings, and 100 Sage Ancient Pavilion all shouted. At the same time, they raised their fifth-dimensional treasures at the same time. As the treasures of their respective factions, the treasures exploded with a torrential holy light and slashed towards the great evil. Following this, the other factions' inheritances and rogue cultivators all roared and attacked at the same time. Follow Lord Immortal Emperor in battle. The experts of the Immortal Court roared. Under Yi Fengtian's lead, they attacked with all kinds of divine abilities and great techniques. Boom! 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 An intense collision occurred, including the Yu family, Divine Palace of all beginnings, Heaven Induction Divine Palace, 100 Sage Ancient Pavilion, various factions' inheritances, and rogue cultivators. There were more than 100,000 experts here. All of them were very powerful. At this time, they all attacked together. Boundless holy light pressed down on the great evil. The scene was truly terrifying. However, the great evil was too terrifying. With a roar, its 5 tails moved together and annihilated everything in an instant. Thump, 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 thump. Just the remnant aura was enough to force the experts who were far away to retreat. Many people's originally rosy complexions turned pale in an instant. Damn it, it's indeed terrifying. Someone gritted his teeth. At this time, the 5 fifth-dimensional experts, Lin Tian, the Yu family's ancestor, Divine Palace of all beginnings ancestor, Heaven Induction Divine Palace's ancestor, and the 100 Sage Ancient Pavilion's ancestor, were at the front. Each of them had a terrifying battle strength. The others were at the back, supporting them from afar. Their combined attack was extremely powerful, but it was easily shattered by the great evil. Moreover, just the aftermath of the collision was enough to force them all back. Roar! The great vicious beast roared, and another wave of attacks came crashing down. Lin Tian's left eye of destiny and right eye of reincarnation trembled at the same time. Boundless light of fate and boundless light of reincarnation interweaved. At the same time, the 5 fifth-dimensional laws condensed the fifth-dimensional sacred diagram again, blocking the destructive waves and protecting the Yu family's ancestor, Divine Palace of all beginnings ancestor, Heaven Induction Divine Palace's ancestor, 100 Sage Ancient Pavilion's ancestor, and the others behind him. I'm sorry. It seems like we're holding little brother back. The Divine Palace's ancestor sighed. The great evil was too terrifying. Even fifth-dimensional ancestor monarchs like them were somewhat weak in front of this great evil. Senior, you must be joking. The fact that everyone is here at this time means that they care about all living beings. There's no such thing as holding anyone back. Lin Tian on Dao. This group of people came to this place together at this time to suppress this great ferocious beast with him. This surprised him, but at the same time, he felt very gratified in his heart. This showed that these people were courageous people. Under such circumstances, even if their combat strength was not of any use here, it could not be said that they were dragging him down. Outside his body, golden light intertwined, and the indestructible law surged, landing on all the cultivators in the area. In just an instant, everyone trembled. In just an instant, their strength in all aspects increased by 3 to 5 times. Attack together, again, he shouted. His holy light shone brightly. He stood at the forefront and launched another fierce attack at the great evil with a terrifying aura. The other cultivators clenched their fists. Because of Lin Tian, their battle strength had increased, and their battle auras had also skyrocketed. They roared in unison and attacked together with Lin Tian. All kinds of divine abilities bombarded the great evil. Holy light surged and surged in this place. The void exploded and shattered, and the earth caved in and collapsed. The great evil was tens of thousands of feet tall. Its eyes were crimson red, and its 5 tails moved together. Pure killing light interweaved and crushed everything. Boom, boom, boom. An intense collision occurred. The strongest group of people in the fifth-dimensional realm had gathered here. With Lin Tian as the leader, they attacked the great evil together. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. After 7 days, the place became even more dilapidated. Other than Lin Tian, the hundreds of thousands of experts had their holy power dried up. They had lost their ability to fight on this day. Most of them were seriously injured, and many of them were covered in blood. Everyone retreat. Lin Tiandao once again stood in front of the great evil alone, allowing the Yu family ancestor, all-beginning ancestor, and the others to retreat further away. Now he was the only one who still had the ability to fight. He was the only one who could barely restrain the great evil. The Yu family ancestor, all-beginning ancestor, and the others retreated with the hundreds of thousands of cultivators with Lin Tian's help. They only stopped when they were tens of thousands of feet away. Roar! The great evil roared. Its body was stained with blood. During these 7 days, it had faced the attacks of Lin Tian and the hundreds of thousands of people. It had suffered some injuries, but they were very light. Now it once again stared at Lin Tian. Endless bloody light mercilessly pressed down on him. Lin Tian's eye of destiny and eye of reincarnation vibrated at the same time. The light of fate and reincarnation met the great evil together. In another part of the fifth-dimensional realm, there were immortal mountains and ancient trees all around. A void door suddenly opened, and Wu Yi stepped out with Ruoxian, Jiyu, and the others. Mu Wenyang followed behind them. This is the fifth-dimensional realm? Ruoxian's eyes lit up as she asked Mu Wenyang, who was behind her. Yes, Lord Ruoxian. This is the fifth-dimensional realm. Every place is intertwined with an astonishing amount of holy spiritual qi. The starting point of cultivation is countless times higher than our world. Mu Wenyang replied. A few months ago, Lin Tian gave him many natural treasures and immortal pills to bring back to the fourth-dimensional realm for Wu Yi and the others. He had been staying in the 10 Directions immortal court in the fourth-dimensional realm. It was only today that he returned with Wu Yi, Ruoxian, and the others when they stepped into the fifth-dimensional realm. Ruoxian nodded. She naturally felt that the holy spiritual qi in the air was very dense. It was almost impossible to find such pure spiritual qi in the fourth-dimensional realm. How shocking! Just the spiritual qi and Tao energy intertwined in the air is already a dimensional difference compared to our world. Jiyu and the other side. The little Taichu, whooshing crocodile, and white tiger soared into the air and looked around. Their eyes were shining. Now, their cultivation had reached the Tao conversion realm due to the many immortal pills, and natural treasures that Lin Tian asked Mu Wenyang to bring back. They had completed a very shocking transformation in an extremely short period of time. Ruoxian's eyes were still bright. I don't know what Father is doing now. Elder Mu, quickly bring us to Ruoxian. Wu Yi suddenly spoke, interrupting Ruoxian. Her gaze was as gentle as ever. She looked at the southern region of the fifth-dimensional realm and told Ruoxian to coordinate. Use the space-time eye to bring us there. Boom! The blood-colored waves were vast and mighty. The aura of great ferocity was terrifying and terrifying. Its 5 tails shook, shattering and destroying everything. Lin Tian's body was surrounded by boundless holy radiance. He once again faced the enemy alone, using all kinds of holy radiance laws. With his current battle strength, it was easy for him to deal with an ordinary peak fifth-dimensional realm expert. However, he was powerless against this great ferocity. It was very difficult for him to truly injure it. Wu Yi, if only you were here. Chapter 2403. Above the fifth dimension was the Hodian realm. Stepping out of the ancestral Lord's sea domain, the great ferocious beast was infinitely close to the Hotian realm. Its killing intent was incomparably pure, as if it was born for slaughter. It was so terrifying that even Lin Tian found it hard to suppress it. Fate, reincarnation, primordial, inverse, star creation, dark light, and indestructibility. With 7 laws in his body, fighting the great ferocious beast with 5 tails reminded him of Wu Yi. At this moment, if Wu Yi was here and played the reincarnation tribulation transcendent song for him, his battle prowess would immediately undergo a drastic change. At that time, he would definitely be able to suppress the great ferocious beast. Roar! The great ferocious beast roared, and its 5 tails swayed once more. A destructive wave of blood rolled in the sky and began to condense above its head. A small ball of destructive light appeared. Following that, the bloody light in the sky surged, and the ball of light gradually grew larger and larger. A destructive aura began to surge, and it rapidly grew stronger. Such a scene caused the expressions of all the cultivators in the distance to change. Following the appearance of the ball of light, an extremely terrifying killing intent suppressed all directions, causing even the sky to tremble violently. Lin Tian, retreat. Even you won't be able to block this attack. Run! Yu Yaoshi and Lu Aoxin shouted at the same time. At this moment, Lin Tian naturally felt how terrifying the ball of light formed by the great ferocious beast was. It felt as if it could easily destroy a part of the universe with a single strike, and it instantly made him feel the threat of death. However, his expression didn't change, and he didn't show any intention of retreating. At this moment, he couldn't retreat, because if he did, Yu Yaoshi, Lu Aoxian, and the others behind him would definitely die instantly. He could still barely block this destructive ball of light, but Yu Yaoshi, Lu Aoxian, and the others definitely couldn't. Wang! 9-colored holy light intertwined and gradually grew stronger. He circulated the Reincarnation Heart Sutra to the limit, and the 7 laws boiled, pushing his battle prowess to the limit at this moment. Right at this moment, the void in the distance distorted, and a spatial gate opened. A group of figures stepped out from it. A familiar aura immediately entered his senses, causing him to turn his head and look in that direction. Wu Yi's white clothes were whiter than snow. Ruoxian followed beside her. Ji Yu, Bai Qiu, and the others followed behind her. Little Taichu, Wuxing Crocodile, and White Tiger floated in the air, all of them entering his field of vision. Father! Ruoxian's eyes were intertwined with 9 special saint runes as the law of space and time intertwined around her. She happily waved at Lin Tian. It's really here! It had been a long time since she last saw her father, so she was very happy. Then, she naturally noticed that Lin Tian's body was heavily injured, and the great beast behind Lin Tian. She was immediately moved. Father, you're injured. What is that? The moment they stepped into the 5th dimension, Wu Yi looked in this direction, gave her the coordinates, and told her that Lin Tian was here. Then, she used the law of space and time to reach this place at a speed faster than the ancestor of the 5th dimension. Kid, what the hell did you do? Wuxing Crocodile saw the terrifying great beast and sensed the terrifying blood ball condensed by the great beast. He immediately widened his eyes. This doesn't look good. Beside him, Ji Yu, Bai Qiu, and the others' expressions also changed. At this time, they could naturally sense the great beast's terror. What's going on? At this time, the girls were worried about Lin Tian's injuries, but they were also surprised by the scene in front of them. It's fine. Lin Tian was surprised and happy to see them here after such a long time. Then his gaze fell on Wu Yi. Wu Yi. Just a moment ago, he was still thinking that it would be great if Wu Yi was here. Then, a moment later, Wu Yi really did come. This made him feel that this was a romantic surprise. Wu Yi nodded. She looked at the scene in front of her and didn't ask anything. She knew very well what Lin Tian needed at this time. Thousand snow flew out. She was as calm as ever, and the gentle sound of a flute drifted out. The gentle sound of the flute caused strands of light to drift out from all directions, cleansing the world of the mortal world. In an instant, Lin Tian's body trembled slightly. The reincarnation forging spiritual art in his body resonated with the sound of Wu Yi's flute, causing his reincarnation origin to shine brightly. His essence, energy, and spirit instantly soared by more than 500 times. At this moment, the world trembled because of his aura, and it seemed like the sky would collapse in the next moment. It was also at this time that the destructive ball of light condensed by the great evil reached an astonishing degree. Its diameter was about 300 meters. As it roared, its 5 tails swayed, and the huge ball of light pressed down on Lin Tian. In the blink of an eye, the destructive blood-colored ball of light pressed down on Lin Tian. The void in all directions was instantly annihilated, and it took a long time for it to recover. Violent gales swept up wave after wave, blowing the black hair in front of Lin Tian's forehead into a mess. Facing this destructive ball of light, Lin Tian was incomparably calm. He raised his right hand slightly, and the Tao diagram of the 4 symbols appeared. This was his eldest senior brother's technique. It could seal people, demons, and everything. At this moment, he used it to block in front of him. Rumble. The destructive blood-colored ball of light fell and crashed into the Tao diagram of the 4 symbols. After trembling slightly for a moment, it was directly annihilated. This scene caused the faces of the Yu family's patriarch and the other experts of the 5th dimension to change. The destructive blood ball from before was the most terrifying attack that the great ominous beast had ever unleashed since they had seen it. However, Lin Tian, who had previously struggled to deal with the great ominous beast's ordinary attacks, was now able to easily block such a terrifying attack from the great ominous beast. Compared to before, his aura is completely different. It's as if he's become a different person. The all-beginning patriarch said. The Yu family's patriarch nodded. He paused for a moment, then looked at Wu Yi, who was playing the flute in the distance. It seems it has something to do with her flute music. That's it. The Heaven Guidance Divine Palace's patriarch said. Yu Yaoshi and Lu Aoxian also guessed that Lin Tian's sudden change had something to do with the flute music. They had already noticed Wu Yi's sudden appearance. At this moment, as the gentle flute music floated in the air, Lin Tian's battle prowess skyrocketed, causing an earth-shattering transformation. Their gazes fell on Wu Yi. So beautiful, Yu Yaoshi murmured. Beside her, Lu Aoxian also looked at Wu Yi in a daze. One of them was known as the second pearl of the 5th dimension, while the other was known as the first pearl of the 5th dimension. All this time, they had absolute confidence in their looks. But now, as they looked at Wu Yi from afar, they were stunned. They couldn't help but feel ashamed of their own inferiority. How could there be such a beautiful person in the world? At this moment, even though they were all women, they were instantly captivated. They looked at Wu Yi from afar. Not only did Wu Yi have a flawless face, but she also had an indescribable temperament. She gave them the feeling that she wasn't a mortal, but a true fairy. She is, looking at Wu Yi from afar, then looking at Lin Tian on the other side, the 2 women's gazes couldn't help but fluctuate. At the same time, the other cultivators in the 5th dimension couldn't help but be stunned. Wu Yi was as calm and gentle as ever as the flute music lingered in the air. Strands of the reincarnation tribulation song floated in the air. The flute music didn't have any effect on the others, but to Lin Tian, it was like the holy music of heaven and earth. Along with the flute music, his aura reached an extremely shocking level. Roar! The great beast roared. Its eyes were crimson red. As its 5 tails swayed, it once again condensed the destructive blood-red ball of light from before. This time, the blood-red ball condensed at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, it had formed a ball of light with a diameter of 300 feet. The scene was somewhat terrifying. The destructive aura seemed to be able to easily obliterate everything. Facing this destructive ball of light, Lin Tian was still very calm. The injuries on his body were instantly healed. Then, he took a step forward and appeared in front of the great beast in the blink of an eye. He didn't make any complicated movements. He simply raised his hand and punched out. Compared to the 100,000 feet tall, great vicious beast, he was as tiny as a grain of sand. However, a simple punch was enough to cause the great vicious beast to tremble violently. With a bang, it was sent flying over 10,000 feet away. Blood splattered across the sky. The destructive glowing ball had also scattered along with the great vicious beast. This scene caused the old ancestor of the Yu family, old ancestor of the myriad beginning ancestor, and the others to tremble in fear. That great vicious beast was clearly so terrifying a moment ago, sweeping through everything in its path. However, at this moment, it was sent flying 1,000 zhang away with a single punch from Lin Tian. This change was too sudden. His current combat strength, everyone was shocked. They all knew that it wasn't that the great beast had become weak, but that Lin Tian had become stronger. Compared to before, he was like a completely different person. Roar! In the distance, the great beast roared and stood up again. The blood-red light around its body became even more terrifying and ruthless. With a bang, the blood-red light intertwined, majestically, and bombarded toward the great beast. Lin Tian raised his hand, and a large amount of reincarnation sword light slashed out, accurately destroying everything. Then, he took a step forward and appeared directly above the great ferocious beast's head in the blink of an eye. With a thought, the complete reincarnation diagram immediately intertwined. The mighty reincarnation power intertwined with the endless reincarnation light and covered the great ferocious beast. The great beast trembled violently and struggled violently, trying to break free from the reincarnation diagram. However, although the reincarnation diagram was shaking, it didn't dissipate. It firmly pressed down on the great beast. The reincarnation diagram rotated, and the reincarnation light soared. Unparalleled brilliance enveloped the great beast, completely imprisoning it in the blink of an eye. Lin Tian raised his hand, and the reincarnation diagram pressed down. It was vast and majestic, causing large cracks to appear on the great beast's body. Blood flowed out continuously, and it seemed like it was going to be finished soon. However, in the next moment, he paused for a moment, and the reincarnation diagram suddenly stopped pressing down. "I won't kill you. I'll keep you for its use," he muttered to himself. With a thought, the reincarnation sword slashed out of his body, emitting boundless reincarnation light. The divine inscriptions on it also lit up, and together with his reincarnation diagram of the king's territory, it enveloped the great beast. With a whoosh, it was sucked into the reincarnation sword. Chapter 2404. The five-tailed ominous beast was very powerful and terrifying. Moreover, during the battle, Lin Tian discovered that after it left the seal of the ancestral sea region, it could even borrow the endless killing aura in the world to grow. It was much more powerful than most ordinary holy spirits. It would be a pity to kill it just like that. He thought for a moment and decided to temporarily suppress it in the reincarnation sword. After that, he would use the law of reincarnation to control it, allowing it to gain some intelligence and intelligence. Then, he would use it as the guardian beast of the immortal court of the fifth dimension. In this place, there were still traces of destructive aura intertwining in the air, but the space had calmed down. It disappeared. That ominous beast was suppressed. In the distance, the cultivators of the fifth dimension were slightly stunned. They were in a daze, and then they suddenly became excited. It was suppressed. It was suppressed. A few days ago, the ominous beast appeared and rampaged through the fifth dimension. No one could stop it. Countless creatures suffered, and large areas of rivers and mountains were destroyed. But now, at this time, this terrifying ominous beast was suppressed. It was suppressed by Lin Tian. The peace of the fifth dimension was restored at this moment. For a moment, everyone's gaze fell on Lin Tian. Their eyes were filled with shock and gratitude. They were shocked by Lin Tian's strength and grateful for Lin Tian for suppressing the ominous beast. If Lin Tian did not suppress the ominous beast, they did not dare to imagine what would have happened. That would have been too terrible. "Daddy," a cheerful voice sounded. When Ruashin saw that the five-tailed ominous beast was suppressed by Lin Tian, she flashed over and clung to Lin Tian with sparkling eyes. I heard a lot about Daddy from Elder Mu Wenyang. Daddy, you're too awesome. Under Lin Tian's orders, Mu Wenyang brought back a bunch of immortal pills, precious medicines, and natural treasures. At the same time, he told Ruashin and the others everything he knew about Lin Tian in the fifth dimension, including how he reached the pure Yang realm from the early stage of the profound heaven realm, how he killed the ancestor of the fifth dimension with his pure Yang cultivation, and how he controlled the 5 laws of the fifth dimension. Ruashin and the others now knew about these things. Oh, not bad. Lin Tian rubbed Ruashin's head and said with a smile. It was also at this time that Wu Yi, Ji Yu, and the others arrived one after another. Brat, you're amazing. Wuxing Crocodile also learned about Lin Tian's achievements in the fifth dimension from Mu Wenyang. He looked at Lin Tian and clicked his tongue. Freakishly strong. Yeah. The White Tiger and Little Taichu spoke one after another, as expected of the descendants of those two existences. A pleasant voice drifted over as a graceful woman with silky black hair approached. She was very beautiful. Lin Tian looked at the woman and was stunned. Little Violet? You! The woman in front of him was about the same height as Wu Yi, but her aura and appearance had not changed. Naturally, he could recognize that she was the Violet Fairy. However, the Violet Fairy used to be about the same height as an 11 or 12-year-old child, but now she was different. I can grow up too. How are you now? The Violet Fairy giggled. In the past, in terms of height, she had always been like a child. This was related to her life origin, and also to the overly domineering Great Void God slaying Tao that she had cultivated since she was young. Now, as her cultivation reached the Tao conversion level, everything had been sorted out by her, and her height had returned to that of an ordinary person. Yes, you're even prettier. Lin Tian smiled. As expected of my sister. She's really beautiful. Jiyu, Bai Qiu, Sushu, Shui Yi, and the others also spoke one after another. Although they had seen the Violet Fairy's transformed appearance before, it did not stop them from praising her now. Big Sister is the most beautiful fairy in our race. Ziyu had been following beside the Violet Fairy all this time and was very obedient. She hugged the Violet Fairy's arm and was rather proud. She then looked at Lin Tian, her beautiful eyes filled with worship. Elder brother, you're even more amazing. You've only been in the fifth dimension for a year, and you're already able to look down on it. She naturally knew about Lin Tian's achievements in the fifth dimension. Not bad, not bad. Lin Tian chuckled. Then, he looked at Wu Yi and walked to the front of Wu Yi. Just a moment ago, I was thinking that it would be great if you were here. He smiled and said, It's really great that you can come on this day. If not for Wu Yi's arrival, he would not have been able to do anything to this great beast and could only retreat in the end. Wu Yi smiled and appeared very gentle. It's good that I was able to help you. You were a great help, Lin Tian said with a smile. Other than being perfect, the phrase good wife was also prepared for you. Wu Yi did not say anything, but the smile on his face deepened. Father, you're so mushy. Ruashin teased. Lin Tian raised his hand and knocked her head. He scolded with a smile. Your father is just speaking the truth. The whole family was happy and harmonious. Lin Tian and Wu Yi chatted with Ji Yu and the others about other things. After half an hour, when they were almost done chatting, the Yu family ancestor, all beginning ancestor, and the others walked over. Little brother, we really have to thank you this time, the Yu family ancestor said. For the entire fifth dimension, this is a huge favor. All beginning ancestor also said, if it wasn't for little brother, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Seniors are too polite. This junior was not the only one who acted. Suppressing it was the result of everyone's joint efforts. Lin Tian said courteously. When he said this, the Yu family ancestor and all beginning ancestor couldn't help but smile bitterly. Was it really the result of everyone's joint efforts? Little brother, don't be so modest. The ancestor of the Heaven's Guide, Divine Temple said, to be honest, we were able to come here because of little brother's influence. If little brother had not stepped forward bravely, we would never have come to resist the great evil. Even if we came, what was the actual purpose of it? Nothing at all. Instead, we were a burden to little brother. Later on, little brother even had to use some of his saint energy to protect us. Suppressing the great evil is all thanks to little brother. As he said this, he paused and looked at Wu Yi. If we really want to talk about someone else's contribution, it should be this young lady. That's right. The 100-sage ancient pavilion ancestor nodded and also looked at Wu Yi, who was beside Lin Tian. When the great evil appeared, it massacred the entire fifth dimension, causing countless lives to suffer. In the beginning, none of them had any thoughts of resisting the great evil. They all tried their best to retreat because that great evil was too terrifying. It was not something they could fight against. The reason why they came here in the end was because of Lin Tian. Lin Tian, who came from the fourth dimension, stood up for the peace of the fifth dimension. At that time, they felt extremely guilty, which was why they came here. But here, they really didn't do anything. It was Lin Tian blocking the great evil at the front, and Lin Tian being able to suppress it in the end. They all knew that it was definitely related to Wu Yi's flute music. Thus, if they really wanted to talk about who should take the credit for suppressing the great evil, then other than Lin Tian, it could only be Wu Yi. Lin Tian smiled and said, "Since everyone put in effort, everyone should have some credit. This credit belongs to everyone." He was unyielding, but he was never arrogant when handling matters. The all-beginning ancestor and the others were slightly stunned. They couldn't help but sigh with emotion. "Little brother, your breadth of mind is truly admirable." The Heaven Guidance Divine Palace's ancestor sighed. Although Lin Tian's cultivation was only at the pure sun realm, his battle prowess was definitely the strongest in the fifth dimension. No one in the fifth dimension could stop him. Moreover, he also controlled the all-beginning, Tao-defying, dark light, star creation, and indestructible laws of the fifth dimension. He could be said to be the strongest person in history. Yet, he was so humble. Lin Tian, she is... Beside the all-beginning ancestor, Lu Aoxian spoke at this time. She looked at Lin Tian, and then at Wu Yi, somewhat evasively. Beside the Yu family's ancestor, Yu Yaoshi also looked at Lin Tian. "My wife, Wu Yi," Lin Tian said with a smile, then knocked on Ruoxian's shoulder. "This is our daughter, Ruoxian." Lu Aoxian's eyes flickered imperceptibly. There was a trace of sadness and disappointment in the depths of her eyes. "So you already have a wife and daughter." She paused for a moment, then looked at Wu Yi and Ruoxian. "They are both so beautiful." Yu Yaoshi didn't say anything. However, the change in her expression was similar. There was also a trace of disappointment in the depths of her eyes. The all-beginning ancestor and the Yu family's ancestor looked at their respective holy daughters and sighed inwardly. How could old antiques like them not see that their disciples and descendants had some special feelings for Lin Tian? They already knew when Lin Tian was being chased by the Xiang family's ancestor. At that time, when they found out about this, they all hoped that their disciples and descendants would be together with Lin Tian. This was because no matter how they looked at it, they were extremely satisfied with Lin Tian. They even felt that no one in their generation could compare to Lin Tian. In the past, they all felt that with the conditions of their respective disciples and descendants, although they were far from comparable to Lin Tian, they were still the number 1 and number 2 pearls of the fifth dimension. Therefore, the chances of them being together with Lin Tian should be relatively high. But now, after seeing Wu Yi, they no longer had this thought. Their disciples and descendants were all very outstanding and beautiful. However, how could they compare to Wu Yi? If they were to compare their disciples and descendants to Wu Yi, it would be like comparing a speck of dust to the moon. Whether it was in terms of appearance or temperament, their disciples and descendants couldn't compare to Wu Yi. In fact, even Lin Tian and Wu Yi's daughter, Ruoxian, couldn't compare to their disciples and descendants. How could their disciples and descendants get in with Wu Yi and Lin Tian? It was impossible. As they looked at Wu Yi, they couldn't help but sigh helplessly. How could there be such a perfect person in this world? Wu Yi understood the meaning behind Yu Yaoshi and Lu Aoxian's expressions, but he didn't say anything. Ji Yu, by Qiu, and the others also understood. Their eyes flickered as they glanced at Lin Tian. "Daddy, you're not being honest." Ruoxian pulled Lin Tian over and whispered to him, "You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.